Chapter 973. X to the power of 8 carat 1 Z carat. Yin ad free update fastest new August 1st Chinese Xiaoshuanet. In the Cave of Rocks. Gu Qingshan and Shanu were busy setting up the large-scale warp formation. After carefully examining the tall woman's injuries, Gu Qingshan understood that she would not be able to regain consciousness for the time being. Her injuries were too severe. Even if she had an immortal body, she would still need some time to recover. All right, you stay here and take care of her. Gu Qingshan put the warp formation plate into her inventory bag and told Shanu. What about you, young master? Do you want to explore this world? Shanu asked. Gu Qingshan explained, I need to find a safe place in this world because I have a premonition that the cultivation tribulation is coming. Shanu worriedly asked, How much longer? Gu Qingshan closed her eyes to sense and said, One day. Shanu replied, There aren't any signs of life within a few hundred miles of this place, so it should be quite safe. Gu Qingshan recalled the description on the star map and smiled bitterly. This is a strange place. It is said that there are many other worlds hidden in this world, so we must go to the next world as soon as possible. That world is safe. Then go quickly, young master. I'll be here, so don't worry. All right. Gu Qingshan walked out of the cave. He leaped into the sky and looked around. Mountains of stones rose into the sky. The land was barren and barren. There were no living creatures in sight. Gu Qingshan had no choice but to release all of her divine sense to investigate as much as she could. In his divine sense, every piece of rock and every speck of dust could be seen clearly. Nothing could be hidden. Unfortunately, the world was still deathly silent. This is interesting. Gu Qingshan mumbled to herself. She decided to carefully study the description of this world on the star map. He quickly found some clues. In the east of this world, there were a total of 79 worlds. Among these 79 worlds, there was a miniature world that was specially used for the existences of various worlds to communicate, exchange, and obtain information. Whether it was gathering information or finding a way to go to the next world, they had to go through this miniature world. Gu Qingshan identified the direction and flew across the sky towards the east of the world. The sky was covered with thick leaden clouds. There was not a breath of wind. This world was like a tomb. A black shadow descended from the sky. Gu Qingshan landed on the ground. According to the star map, the miniature world was nearby. Gu Qingshan looked around. Soon, he found a well. Why was it another well? Gu Qingshan walked to the mouth of the well and looked down. The well was shrouded in mist, making it difficult to see the depths of the well. Gu Qingshan released her inner sight, but it was blocked by the lingering clouds. A sense of foreboding rose in his heart. These clouds occasionally gathered and scattered. It didn't seem like much, but from Gu Qingshan's senses, it felt like a very powerful method. While Gu Qingshan was thinking of a way to deal with it, a mechanical arm appeared next to the well. At the same time, an electronic voice resounded. Human biological waves detected. Beginning to convert language. The common human language is ready. A projection appeared on the mechanical arm, and at the same time, paragraphs of text appeared. Gu Qingshan took a look and found that this was the language of the spire. Although the spire had been destroyed, their language was still the most commonly used language among humanity. Frowny face greetings. Esteemed human sir, if you wish to enter the infinite world's information exchange, please ensure that you fulfill one of the following conditions. Firstly, possess membership. Secondly, possess information of astonishing value to sell. If you lie, you shall bear the consequences. Thirdly, possess at least 30 private worlds. We will provide you with membership at our discretion. Fourthly, possess Lord-class combatants. We will provide you with VIP membership. Fifthly, show us your soul artifacts. We will immediately provide you with VIP membership. Sixthly, you're here to sell yourself. Yes, the world is tough. We also do human trafficking as well. Gu Qingshan shook his head and muttered, So many tricks saying so. He released his 3,000 worlds realm spirit energy fluctuation. The mechanical arm didn't react. What's going on? Gu Qingshan quickly thought about it and understood. A black silent wind cloak had completely concealed his presence. If he hadn't appeared at the well, this so-called infinite worlds information exchange wouldn't have known that he was here. This is troublesome. I can't leave the silent wind cloak. Otherwise, if Magic Dragon's presence were spread, it might directly turn others into Magic Dragon's bloodkin. Then I have to change my method. Show my soul artifacts? Ancient abyssal soul artifacts like the twin swords Heaven and Earth definitely can't be taken out. Showing off was never something that could bring benefits. So I can only sell myself? That's even more impossible. Gu Qin thought for a bit, then told the mechanical arm, I have an astonishingly valuable piece of information I want to sell. The text on the mechanical arm's projected screen changed frowny face. Are you sure it's an astonishingly valuable piece of information? If you deceive the great pixie, no one will be able to save your life. Gu Qin was surprised. No wonder he dared to so blatantly state his conditions. So this information exchange was opened by the pixie. It was said that the pixie had many miraculous quipcraft that other races couldn't grasp. These quipcraft were extremely powerful, far more powerful than normal, almost equivalent to the power of causality. Bali's leg was also healed through the pixie's crystal flower. And all pixies were born with a unique quipcraft, untraceable. This wasn't the spirit tortoise's untraceable head and tail, but rather, as long as a pixie left your sight, you wouldn't be able to find it again. Gu Qin told the mechanical arm, I'm sure my information is valuable. Please let me in. The mechanical arm stopped for a bit, then retracted back into the rock next to the well. The mist inside the well scattered. Something about the size of a finger flew out from the well and stood on the edge. It was a long-nosed old man wearing a green robe and a green hat. He looked at Gu Qin and loudly shouted, Shocking information! I want to know the shocking information as soon as possible. Of course, this is the content of my transaction, Gu Qin replied. What do you want to know from me? The long-nosed old man asked. There is a deep pool in this world. The location and time of its appearance are completely random. Only the pixie knows where it will appear next, Gu Qin replied. Understood. You want to enter Riddle World, but Riddle World isn't a place that just anyone can enter. This is a secret world, the long-nosed old man shouted. That's why I'm willing to use shocking information to exchange for the location and time of the pool's next appearance, Gu Qin replied. The long-nosed old man squinted his eyes, bared his teeth, and carefully observed Gu Qin. Gu Qin was waiting for the other party to carry out the transaction of information. The two of them didn't say anything. The long-nosed old man suddenly asked, Your cloak looks really nice. Are you selling it? Gu Qin replied. Not for sale, the long-nosed old man angrily asked. Then what are you doing here? Gu Qin replied. I told you just now, I want to exchange information with you. The long-nosed old man suddenly realized and face-palmed. Ah, that's right. I remember now. You wanted to exchange information with me. I'm sorry. Your cloak really attracted me, so I got distracted for a bit. Can we proceed with the transaction now? Gu Qin patiently asked. Of course, the long-nosed old man took out a short stick and knocked it on the edge of the well. The scenery around them changed. Gu Qin found herself standing inside a luxurious palace. There were so many shiny treasures here that there wasn't even a place to stand. The long-nosed old man's expression became serious and cleared his throat. Then, according to the rules of exchanging information, you go first, Gu Qin replied. I want information about the abyss. The long-nosed old man shook his finger. That's not enough, Gu Qin continued. The theocracy of the strife zones and the 900 million world layers is related to my information. The long-nosed old man pondered a bit and slowly spoke. This is getting interesting, but it's still a bit lacking. In value to exchange this information for the entrance to Riddle World, Gu Qin continued. This information isn't only related to the eternal abyss and the strife zone's theocracy, it's also related to the final war of the Age of Old. He was about to tell them about Magic Dragon. That's right. I can't defeat him right now. But if I let him stay behind the scenes and stir up trouble like this, wouldn't I be letting him live a bit too comfortably? The long-nosed old man looked at him in surprise and was about to say something when a frog jumped out from his green cloak. The frog shouted, It's that thing. It's that thing. The thing he's talking about is related to the bygone era. The long-nosed old man's expression changed, hurriedly put the frog back in his pocket, and looked at Gu Shan with an eager gaze. "Deal," he shouted. "Old friend, let's set a small goal for now. Yen." Chapter 974. The Great Pixie's Palace. Gu Shan explained the magic dragon's background in detail. "According to what you said, it was the most powerful weapon created by the bygone-era humans," the long-nosed old man asked. "Indeed, it desired the power of the abyss, so it fell into the abyss and turned into an eternal being. Abyssal magic dragon," Gu Shan replied. "But it's very strange," the long-nosed old man mused. "You said that it stayed at the bottom of the primordial Wraith Realm's chaos demonic sea for a very long time, resting in a hidden abyssal jail." "Indeed," Gu Shan confirmed it. "Then, if it's a jail, what is it guarding?" the long-nosed old man asked. "I'm sorry, but this is another secret. It has nothing to do with the magic dragon," Gu Shan replied. "Another secret." The long-nosed old man tapped his forehead and spoke with a bit of reluctance. Gu Shan continued. "To be frank, I've told you everything about the magic dragon. The value of this secret is more than enough to exchange for the location of Riddle World," the long-nosed old man replied. "Indeed, there's no doubt about that. This is indeed a shocking secret, extremely valuable." He appeared hesitant and couldn't help but ask, "But there's something very crucial that you didn't tell me. What is it?" During the final battle of the Age of Old, what exactly was the magic dragon trying to achieve? Hearing that, Gu Shan couldn't help but chuckle. This matter is related to an even bigger secret." Before the other party could speak, he added, "According to our deal, I've told you the identity of the mastermind behind the strife zones of the 900 million world layers, told you the outcome of the final battle of the Age of Old, and told you everything about the magic dragon. This is already extremely valuable information. It's more than enough to exchange for the location and time of Riddle World's appearance," the long-nosed old man sighed. "Indeed, I agree with that," Gu Shan continued. "Then, please complete our deal," the long-nosed old man tried asking. "I want to use something of extraordinary value to exchange for the rest of your secrets." Gu Shan shook her head and said, "I'm sorry, but I have no intention of selling that information for the time being." The long-nosed old man's eyes flickered. He slowly said, "All right, according to the laws of the fairies, we have agreed on a deal, and you have told me about the deal, so I will tell you what you want to know. Tonight, when the moon rises into the sky, the pool that leads to Riddle World will appear 150 kilometers north of Stony Mountain. This pool will only exist for 5 breaths of time. You have to hurry. If you miss it, it will disappear immediately. The next time it appears will be 3 months later." The long-nosed old man impatiently took out a coin, blew on it, and tossed it high up into the air. Ding! The coins fell to the ground with a crisp sound. "Face up. Do you see that? The coin of truth and lies proves that there is no falsehood in our transaction," the long-nosed old man said. Gu Shan smiled and nodded. "The deal is complete. Thank you very much," the long-nosed old man immediately asked. "That's right. The deal is complete, but are you sure you won't consider selling any other information?" "Not for now," Gu Shan replied. "The matter of the twin swords heaven and earth is too important, so I definitely can't reveal it. I also can't reveal the matter of the abyssal fate weaver. After all, she has now lost the power of the abyss and is heavily wounded, so she definitely can't be found. Within the 900 million world layers, as long as something is revealed, there will always be some strange and unusual method that can be used to trace it back to a certain entity related to it." When they were on the Spire's ship, the controllers of knowledge had already told Gu Shan about these things. Bali and Miao had also privately reminded Gu Shan about this. That was why Gu Shan was extremely cautious when she told him the information. The long-nosed old man appeared disappointed and helplessly swung the short stick in his hand. Fine, this kind of thing, huh? Forget it," the scenery around them changed. They returned to the well. Gu Shan was still standing where she was, and the long-nosed old man was still standing on the edge of the well. "Farewell," Gu Shan clasped her fist. "See you again. I look forward to your next visit." The long-nosed old man slightly bowed. Gu Shan leapt up, and flew towards the mountain of rocks. The long-nosed old man watched him fly away until he couldn't see him anymore before he swung his short stick and returned to his palace. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! He flew into a rage and cursed loudly in the palace. This kid who's still wet behind the ears obviously has even more shocking information, but he's actually hiding it from me. The long-nosed old man angrily picked up a golden alarm clock and was about to throw it on the ground when he recalled how expensive an alarm clock was and put it back with a regretful expression. He continued to shout, "I'm a pixie. How dare he do that? I'm so mad. I'm so mad." He sat back down on his chair and ordered the air, "Go. Put up Magic Dragon's secret information. Make it the highest level secret. As for the price, let those people name it themselves." "Yes," a reply came from the air. The long-nosed old man sighed as he sat there, poured himself a cup of tea, and was about to drink it. Suddenly, bam, a white mist exploded in front of him, causing him to almost throw the cup away. "Bastard!" The long-nosed old man was about to curse, but quickly shut his mouth. A white piece of paper appeared in front of him. The number of words on it increased rapidly, and the length of the entire piece of paper continued to increase. The long-nosed old man received the paper and was surprised. So many people want to know about the mastermind behind the strife zones of the 900 million world layers. Wait a minute, there are still people interested in the final war of the Age of Old, but this price is a bit low. Magic Dragon's background. If you want to know about this, I won't sell it without paying a few worlds. The long-nosed old man could almost see a large sum of money coming in. He became excited. At this point, a frog jumped out from his green cloak again and looked at him. "Master, I'm hungry." The long-nosed old man's gaze moved away from the paper and looked at the frog. He suddenly had a thought. "You're the frog that knows the secrets of all life. Tell me, is that brat just trying to fool me, or does he really have more important information?" The frog replied, "I'm hungry. I can't answer any questions." The long-nosed old man irritably threw out a small person that was even smaller than him. The frog's mouth twitched. The little man didn't even have time to scream before he was swallowed by the frog in one bite. "How is it? I gave you live food today. I didn't mistreat you, did I? Answer me now," the long-nosed old man urged. The frog opened its mouth wide and shouted, "That person wearing the Silent Night cloak, he has countless secrets. He himself is a secret, but his secrets are purposely hidden. Only those that he personally tells us can be known." "What? He really does have more information?" The long-nosed old man jumped up. He paced back and forth in the palace, his eyes flickering. At another location, after flying for a while, Gu Shan took out a formation plate and activated the long-distance warp formation. His figure disappeared from the air. No one would be able to follow him and find out where he was going. The Cave of Rocks. Gu Shan appeared. "Gongzi, how did your investigation go?" Shanu asked. "Don't worry. I already know how to get to the next world. We'll leave tonight." Gu Shan smiled. His gaze moved a bit and asked, "You're awake?" In front of him, the tall, slender woman was leaning on a soft mattress, silently looking at him. Chapter 975. Inside the Cave of Rocks. Gu Shan walked up to the tall, slender woman and asked, "How are you recovering?" "I can't. Magic Dragon used his full power during that attack. I can only barely walk right now." The tall, slender woman shook her head. She said walk, not fully recovered. It was now that Gu Shan understood just how severe her injuries were. He muses, "This world isn't very safe. We need to go to Riddle World to rest for a while." The tall, slender woman asked, "What's wrong with this world?" "There's a great pixie who runs information business in this world. I'm worried that he'll pry into our secrets," Gu Shan replied. Pixies are a troublesome, unique life form. It's good that we leave," the tall, slender woman agreed. Gu Shan paused briefly, then continued. "You and I are traveling together between worlds, but I still don't know your name. People will notice something amiss on the way." The tall, slender woman didn't answer, and instead calmly told her, "Before I fully recover, you'll have to take care of me while traveling. If someone asks, how will you explain our relationship?" "I've thought it through. You, my older sister, will travel together, searching for our lost relatives while making a living." Gu Qingshan replied. The tall, slender woman scowled. Older sister? Do you think I'm that old? Gu Qingshan sincerely replied. No. In terms of cultivation and knowledge, you're much stronger than I am, so I can't be too arrogant. I can only be your younger brother. The tall, slender woman seriously listened to her and appeared pleased. I'm Lin, she said. Lin? Yes. I've been having trouble moving around lately, so I'll need you to take care of me. Thank you, she politely replied. No need to be so polite. I have a few healing pills on me. Take one now. I'll use spirit energy to help you recover, all right? When the sky was about to darken, Gu Qingshan and Shanu brought Lin along, preparing to leave the cave of rocks. As Shanu was about to destroy the cave, Gu Qingshan stopped her. Leave it here. If we ever return to this world, this place might still be useful, Gu Qingshan said. He suddenly reached out and rubbed the space between his brows. Shadows of the past suddenly appeared, alternating in front of Gu Qingshan's eyes. Gu Qingshan leaned against the wall and shook her head, dispelling all the shadows in front of her. Your condition isn't right. Lin noticed his strange expression and said calmly. Gu Qingshan simply explained, the cataclysm is imminent. So you're trying to break through to Paragon Realm, which means you're afraid of the heavens reckoning? Lin asked. There's nothing to be afraid of, but the tribulation is no small matter, so we have to hurry to the next world, Gu Qingshan said. Lin glanced at him and scoffed. In the end, you're still afraid of the heavenly Tao's reckoning. You were quite decisive when you tried to kill me, but now you're afraid. Killing was against the law of heaven. Abyssal creatures were also life forms, and they were even the highest form of life forms, possessing the attribute of eternity. Although they could not be killed, the heavenly axiom would still care about this matter and double the punishment. Gu Qingshan shrugged. There's no way to continue this conversation. He had no choice but to shut up, silently put everything into his inventory bag, and prepare to leave. A few moments later, everything was packed up. Gu Qingshan signaled Shanu with her eyes. Shanu then supported Lin and left the cave of rocks together. Gu Qingshan let out an airship at the entrance of the cave. That place is about 300 miles to the north of us. Let's fly there, he explained. Lin nodded, expressing that she had no objections. Shanu supported her as the three of them boarded the airship and headed towards the place where Riddle World would appear. Lin leaned against the window, looked down at the rocky mountains below, and spoke without turning around. Tell me what you're planning. Gu Qingshan replied. First, we'll return to the strife zones, find the 3 coins, save a few people from the past, then kill the Demon King Order. Why do you want to kill it? In the age of old, it once tried to bypass me and directly summon something like a Demon King. At the time, I didn't know what it was, but I felt an inexplicable sense of unease. You're right, Lin agreed. Gu Qingshan continued. In the Fallen Zones, the Demon King Order had already reached the Demon King Ascension stage, but it was busy dealing with the Soul Shrieker, so it couldn't do what it wanted to do. I'll take this chance to kill it, but the Demon King Order is currently fighting against the Soul Shrieker's avatar. Even if you kill it, what about the Soul Shrieker? I'll also kill it. Magic Dragon is currently hiding in the shadows of the Strife Zones. What do you plan to do? Kill it. Lin looked at him. He was pursing his lips in pain, as if he was enduring something. Lin doubtfully asked, Is it because you're too nervous about the measure tribulation that you're only boasting? No, these are all things that must be done. As for the method, wait until we save them, Gu Qingshan replied. Lin looked at the cold sweat on his forehead and asked, The measure tribulation is coming soon? That's right. I'll do my best to stall for time until we reach the next world, Gu Qingshan replied. Lin thought for a bit, then said, I have a martial scripture that can cleanse the body's sins. Recite it with me and memorize it, Gu Qingshan asked. Will there be any use in cramming at the last minute? Lin replied, This is the Sovereign, a martial scripture specifically designed to cleanse the body. Once recited, an unimaginable seed of power will take root. Not to mention reciting it, she clasped her hands together, formed a hand seal, and began to recite it with a solemn expression. Gu Qingshan seriously listened to it once, then recited it a few more times under her supervision, finally memorizing the entire scripture. Your soul is currently in a liberated state, so you can now use this martial scripture to cleanse your body's sins. This will slightly delay the measure tribulation, because the laws of heaven and earth will recalculate your sins, Lin explained. Gu Qing Shan tried reciting it a few times. Then the uncomfortable sensation slowly faded away. How miraculous, he sighed. Of course, a martial scripture of this level has already been lost. Consider yourself lucky, Lin casually said. At this point, sharp whistles could be heard from outside. Gu Qing Shan's expression changed and immediately put the airship away. The three of them disappeared from the sky with the airship and reappeared on the ground. Shanu was supporting Lin, while Gu Qing Shan stood on one side. The three of them all looked up at the sky, only to see several people wearing ghost-like masks descending from the sky. These people landed on the ground and surrounded Gu Qing Shan's group. Gongzi, Shanu worriedly said. Gu Qing Shan waved his hand to tell her not to worry. He stood in front of them and smiled, clasping his fist to everyone around him. May I ask why everyone is blocking our way? A blurred figure flew forward. Gu Qing Shan drew his sword and casually swung it at the blurred figure. Ki! With a clear sound of collision, the blurred figure was sent flying back. It was a short man with a pair of sharp claws in each hand. Seeing this, the others didn't react too much, as if everything was within their expectations. The short man let out a high-pitched laugh. To be able to stop my ambush, you must be a Lord-class combatant as well. No wonder you have secret information on Magic Dragon. Gu Qing Shan's heart sank. The information transaction was done in secret inside the Great Pixie's palace. But now someone else came looking for me. This means that the Great Pixie also sold me out. Or, Gu Qing Shan asked, Tell me, what do you want? Nothing much. It's just that the Great Pixie's information is too expensive. We don't want to spend that much money. So we want you to tell us about Magic Dragon, the short man replied. What if I don't? Gu Qing Shan asked. The short man replied, Although you're a Lord-class combatant, Magic Dragon's information is too valuable. We won't let go of this information. Just look around. All of us are Lord-class combatants. Gu Qing Shan looked around. Indeed, the other party wasn't lying. The several dozen masked people around her were all Lord-class in strength. It seems they were masked in order to avoid becoming enemies. They only wanted this piece of information on Magic Dragon. But right when I'm about to face my tribulation, but since it's information on Magic Dragon, there's no harm in telling them. Gu Qing Shan smiled and said, Very well, I can tell you. The people around her all nodded. The short man snorted and said, At least you know your place. Gu Qing Shan didn't care about what he said and simply told them about Magic Dragon's secret again. They all seriously listened. When he finished, a voice came from the middle of the group. He's not lying. The atmosphere loosened up a bit. Gu Qing Shan clasped her fist to the people around her. I've told you everything, and you've determined it to be reliable. Can you let us go now? The people didn't move. They were still surrounding Gu Qing Shan, Shanu, and Lin. Gu Qing Shan's expression didn't change at all as she asked, What do you mean? The short man replied, According to the Pixie, this isn't the only valuable piece of information you have. Gu Qing Shan casually replied, That's a bit too much. In truth, if I really wanted to run away, none of you would be able to stop me. Why would you want to become enemies with me? He's not lying. One of the people in charge of detecting lies spoke up again. The crowd was a bit rowdy. A few dozen lords couldn't stop him. So he has some sort of treasure that allows him to instantly escape? If that's the case, we can't force him too much. Otherwise, it'll be a waste of effort. The lords exchanged glances, silently communicating. Finally, the short man spoke. Tell me one more piece of information. We'll need to collect another valuable piece of information that can be sold for a lot of money. Then we'll let you go. As Gu Qing Shan was about to say something, she felt someone pulling her from behind. Shanu, she angrily spoke. Gongzi, those things were all because of you. Gu Qing Shan waved her hand dismissively and sent her voice. There's not much time left. Shanu looked up at the sky. Nightfall. The moon had just peeked out from behind the clouds. In just a few moments, the deep pool leading to Riddle World would appear. I really can't drag this out any longer. Not to mention, Gongzi still has the measure tribulation on him. Shanu clenched her teeth and went silent. Gu Shan turned around and clasped his fist at the lords. Very well, then we have a deal. I'll tell you another valuable piece of information. Then we'll part ways here. How about it? The lords exchanged glances and nodded. Very well, we're all people of high status here, so there's no need to go back on our words. Then, I'll tell you about the other eternal monster, the Soul Shrieker and its avatar, Gu Shan continued. He told them everything about the Soul Shrieker. He's not lying, the voice continued to judge. Gu Shan then continued. All right, I'm really in a hurry. Today's matter doesn't really matter. Let's end it here. He released the airship and was about to leave with Shanu and Lin. The overlords maintained their silence and slowly opened up a path for the overlords. All of a sudden, a high-pitched voice resounded. The short man loudly declared, "The pixie just said that his information is very important, but there's a unique life form behind him. If we capture that life form, we can choose any soul artifact from the pixie's treasury." The crowd once again became rowdy. There were many precious soul artifacts in the pixie's treasury, and they were all soul artifacts. If I can really choose any one of them, I would have made a huge profit from this trip. Hurry, hurry, surround him, the short man shouted. The lords once again surrounded Gu Shan's group. This time, they were even tighter. The short man stared straight at Lin. He abruptly turned his gaze to Gu Shan and said, "Brat, becoming a lord-class combatant isn't easy. Take a good look. We have several dozen lords here. Killing you is as easy as flipping our hands. And then what?" Gu Shan asked. "You were quite tactful just now. So there's only one last thing you need to do now. What is it? Leave that woman behind. Then you can leave." The short man pointed at Lin and said. Gu Shan turned around to look at Lin. Lin glanced at him indifferently with an indifferent expression. The short man continued. "Brat, you might be able to escape from our encirclement, but you won't be able to take this woman with you. I suggest that you cherish your life and leave her with us." Gu Shan thought for a bit and sighed. He walked in front of Lin and said, "I'm sorry, what?" Lin's gaze suddenly lost focus, only focused on his face, looking at his sincere expression. Gu Shan said, "You might not be able to properly rest. Why not?" Lin blankly asked. "Because..." Gu Shan hesitated briefly, then decided to tell him the truth. "Although I've killed a Paragon Realm divinity, fought against monsters like the Soul Shrieker and the Abyssal Magic Dragon, I'm still lacking experience against these shitty lords." Lin froze. Gu Shan continued. "I'm afraid it'll take a bit of time. I know you're wounded, so please forgive me." Boom. Intense sword chi erupted from his body, turning into a sword-infused wind that swept across the entire wilderness. He turned around to face the Lord-class combatants. The twin swords Heaven and Earth appeared from the void of space, both in his hands. Gu Shan's expression displayed a terrifying killing intent that hadn't appeared in a long time as he slowly walked forward. "All of you must die," his soft whisper resounded in the wind. Chapter 976. What is a sword? A sword is a weapon for killing. What kind of person is Gu Shan? He used to be a cook, a general, an expert in archery, spells, martial arts, etc. He's quite proficient in formations, knows how to build mobile mechs, and is an expert in acting. Although he has a lot of skills, when he wields a sword, he only has a single identity. He is a sword cultivator. In the past, when Gu Shan killed people in Tree's collection world, the Lord of Blood had used the Phantom Trace technique to personally observe his fighting style. The Lord of Blood told Su Sher that Gu Shan is an unreasonable person. This isn't to say that he's an unreasonable person. In truth, Gu Shan is more than willing to listen to other people's opinions, as long as they're reasonable. This is referring to the fact that in a battle of life and death, no matter how capable you are, as soon as Gu Shan attacks, you won't be able to use any of your abilities, because you're already dead. This is Gu Shan's fighting style. This is where he's unreasonable. His sword. Fast. Very fast. The heaven sword flashed. Boom. As if a meteor had crashed through the ground. A sandstorm of rubble rose to cover the sky. All must die. Gu Qingshan muttered as he walked into the sandstorm. He had activated the Taiji dream-jolting sword array 9 times at the same time. This came from the Heaven Sword's power. Heaven's choice, Heaven's choice. At a certain point in time, you can immediately follow up with the same attack 3, 6, or 9 times. The Taiji dream-jolting sword array that he unleashed with his full power was infused with the lightning thaumaturgy dream-jolting, then superimposed itself 9 times in an instant, which was equivalent to 9 Taiji dream-jolting sword arrays being performed at the same time. Its power had already surpassed the Lord's level of understanding. On the ground, yellow sand was kicked up into the air. Everything was being devoured. No, damn it. Please don't. I was wrong. Within the chaotic sandstorm, countless desperate screams resounded. Every scream was short and filled with fear, as if they had just woken up from a nightmare, or as if they had instantly lost the ability to speak. This was the remorse and despair of death. The billowing smoke turned into a whirlwind that spun rapidly and carried the rocks away, disappearing at the end of the horizon. The awakening dream faded away like sand. The sword formation disappeared. Everything became clear again. The corpse was erased by the sword wind, leaving no trace behind. On the ground, there were only dozens of human heads piled up randomly. Almost all of the overlords who came to stop them were dead. Only one person was left, and because he had something to ask, he was still alive. A short and small man. He sat on the ground, the formless sword wind blowing against his body, not daring to move. The short man shouted in panic, "Please, let me go. I can give you everything I have. I was wrong. I shouldn't have stolen your secrets." "What did the great demoness tell you?" Gu Qingshan calmly asked. "She said that you have a lot of secrets. If I look for you, I'll be able to obtain those secrets without spending any money, and I can even sell them to her," the short man hurriedly replied. Gu Qingshan thought for a bit and put her swords away. He turned around and walked towards Lin and Shanu. Seeing him leave, the short man sighed in relief, feeling like his life was saved. He hurriedly stood up, wanting to escape from this terrifying place. A second later, the short man abruptly leapt to the sky and flew away. Very quickly, he was already far away. Thud! Something fell from the sky, crashing to the ground and rolled all the way until it reached another head before stopping. The short man's head. His expression was still frozen on his face, as if he had just survived a calamity. In truth, he was already dead, but because the swords were too fast, his head hadn't fallen off yet, and his vitality hadn't died yet. Gu Qingshan returned to Lin and Shanu's side. There were a few people with interesting abilities, but I didn't even get to see anything before it ended. "How boring," Lin said in disdain, but her eyes were glowing. "Are there other powers that you don't understand?" Gu Qingshan asked. "Of course, within the infinite worlds, there are countless new abilities, and I'm very interested in them," Lin answered as a matter of fact. "I'm sorry, I don't like giving others a chance to act," Gu Qingshan apologized. He looked up at the sky and sighed. "We missed the chance to go to the next world. In other words, you want to undergo the measure tribulation in this world?" Lin asked. "That's right, I remember you saying that there's a great pixie in this world, and that these people were also incited by him. If you want to face your tribulation here, you need to be careful," Lin reminded him. Hearing that, Shanu was worried and pulled on Gu Qingshan's sleeve. "Gongzi, I'm not afraid of any quipcraft. Let me kill that pixie." Gu Qingshan shook his head and formed a hand seal. Secret art, torrent. An ear-piercing whistle suddenly sounded. The faint yellow sword phantom flew through the night sky. The earth sword. Shanu looked at the flying sword, thought for a bit, then calmed down. Lin crossed her arms and asked with interest, "What kind of power does the earth sword have after it awakens?" Gu Qingshan honestly replied, "It's not much, but it can kill everything. A pixie's lair isn't easy to infiltrate," Lin commented. "That's why when I slashed the earth sword, I added a bit more weight to it and slashed this world as well," Gu Qingshan explained. They waited in the silent night for a few breaths worth of time. Very quickly, on the other side of the horizon, where they couldn't see, an earth-shattering sound could be heard. This sound was getting louder and louder. The earth split open. Magma rushed to the sky. Black clouds of destruction swept across the sky. The three of them silently sensed it. The entire world was shaking and shaking, and it was getting more and more intense. Lin uses HM, a power that can kill everything. With several times the world's gravity, it's about to destroy this world. I'm sorry, the sword style seems to have pushed me a bit too hard, Gu Qingshan said, a bit ashamed. You haven't killed anyone since you obtained the twin swords? Lin asked. That's right, I usually don't kill people, Gu Qingshan replied. Lin looked at him, then at the empty rocky ground in front of her, as well as the piles of heads. She turned back and looked at him. All right, Gu Qingshan explained. I only act when someone is being unreasonable. What if someone is being reasonable? Using reasoning to convince people. What do you mean by reasoning? Your ability to deceive people isn't any worse than your swordsmanship. While the two of them were talking, Gu Qingshan suddenly sensed something as a look of pain flashed across her face. The measure tribulation? Lin asked. Yes, Gu Qingshan rubbed her forehead. Seeing Gu Qingshan's expression, Shanu hurriedly said, We need to quickly find another world. Otherwise Gongzi will have no choice but to face his tribulation in the space vortex indeed. This world was destroyed by the Earth Sword that contained the power of the sanctuary, so it would soon collapse and be destroyed. As for that pixie, it had already died without a trace. Fortunately, it had given Gu Qingshan quite a bit of soul points, allowing Gu Qingshan's soul points to maintain a balance. A streak of light flew back from deep within the dark clouds. Seeing the streak of light approaching, Gu Qingshan immediately asked, Why did you destroy this world? The Earth Sword landed in front of Gu Qingshan and spoke in a low voice. You can't blame me for that. It was all because of your lack of experience and overexertion. Gu Qingshan froze. He really didn't want to continue this topic in front of the two ladies, so he could only silently put the Earth Sword away to prevent it from saying anything else. If there's no way to go to Riddle World, where do you plan to go? Lin asked. I don't know, Gu Qingshan honestly replied. I can only break through the void of space and find a place to rest for now. He drew the Chao Yin sword and slashed to the sky. Without a sound, the void of space was cut open. Images of worlds appeared in front of him, stretching all the way to the sky. Chapter 9:77. Above the dark sky of destruction, images of various worlds appeared one after another, spreading all the way to the depths of space. Gu Qingshan carefully observed these images and said, Give me a suggestion. Lin glanced at them and said, Just find a world without people. Something like the measure tribulation shouldn't happen in a place with a lot of living beings. I know that the more people the measure tribulation comes into contact with, the more it will grow, Gu Qingshan replied. He picked a desolate and dead world, pointed at it, and said, Let's go there. It doesn't feel good. Let's go somewhere else. Lin glanced at it and suggested. Gu Qingshan hesitated briefly before looking at another world. The reason why she paid so much attention to Lin's words was because even though she was heavily wounded, her cultivation was still intact. With her cultivation, her sense of danger was much sharper than Gu Qingshan's. Gu Qingshan pointed at a blue world. What do you think of this place? He asked. I've been to that world before. Humans live underground. It's not a world without people. All right, then what about this one? This one seems fine, Lin agreed. Their gazes were locked onto the image of a certain barren world. A few moments later, an airship took off, went through the barrier of the world, and headed towards a certain uninhabited world. Behind the airship, the collapse of the entire world was quickly intensifying. A world made entirely of diamond. There were no living beings. The entire world was a gigantic piece of diamond. But this piece of diamond wasn't a planet, nor was it floating in space. It was wandering by itself inside a world full of water, one of the subworlds of that world. The airship followed the path Gu Qingshan took to enter this world of diamond. Gu Qingshan jumped down from the airship. To avoid being caught up in it, Shanu and Lin continued to fly the airship further away. Gu Qingshan stood still on the hard surface of the ground. He could faintly sense the arrival of the measure tribulation. As long as I circulate my spirit energy to break through, the measure tribulation will definitely be triggered. Gu Shan took out a pill and stuffed it into her mouth, then closed her eyes. Following the rise and fall of his breathing, he slowly mobilized his spiritual energy to attack the barrier. It was getting closer. It was getting closer. The cataclysm was about to descend. Bang! Suddenly, a sound rang out. A thumb-sized figure suddenly appeared in front of Gu Shan. She was a pretty girl in a purple skirt, with a pair of dragonfly-like wings on her back. This is not a calamity. Who are you? Gu Shan forced herself to stop her breakthrough. The girl smiled at Gu Shan, handed a piece of parchment to Gu Shan, bowed and disappeared. Gu Shan took the parchment and saw that it was written in the ancient elven language. Bounty, the evil goblin bard. Bard is wanted for illegally possessing tobacco harmful to the pixies, eavesdropping on the secrets of the pixie royal family, infiltrating the palace to steal, and attempting to kidnap the pixie princess. Anyone who catches him or kills him on the spot will be rewarded by the pixie royal family. This bounty has been completed. Brave young human, you have killed the great bewitching Bart and obtained this time's bounty. Please use this bounty to wipe your snot, or use it to wipe your mouth after eating, and it will immediately be honored. Gu Shan face-palmed and put the bounty away, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Pixies are famous for their lack of understanding of the situation. They only care about doing what they think they should do. There was once a time when a person that the pixies owed a great debt to had just died. The pixies used a powerful quipcraft to prolong that person's life. Only after he received their gift of gratitude did they dispel the life-prolonging spell. That person inexplicably came back to life, received the gift, and inexplicably died. The pixies thought that they had expressed their gratitude enough, so they happily left the person's corpse. This was a habit of their race, so Gu Shan couldn't really blame them for it. But as the pixies interacted with other races more, they slowly learned to be more flexible. For example, this time, although they suddenly appeared at the most crucial moment of Gu Shan's tribulation and sent someone to deliver the bounty, they kindly sealed the bounty in a piece of parchment paper and left without saying a lot of words of gratitude. For them, this was already the most polite way to express their gratitude. Gu Shan had nothing to say. He could only continue to adjust his condition and make the final preparations to face the measure tribulation. 1 breath, 2 breaths, 3 breaths. Following his breathing, his spirit energy once again gathered and began to break through to Paragon Realm. All of a sudden, an illusory scene appeared between heaven and earth. It replaced the entire world and became the real world. Gu Shan found himself standing on top of a tall platform. From right in front of him all the way to the end of the world, there was nothing but static scenes. Each scene was filled with terrifying monsters, all of them staring at him, ready to pounce. Behind Gu Shan, the world began to shatter, crumble into pale white dust, and fade into the endless darkness. Gu Shan looked at the crumbling world behind him with a cautious expression. This pure darkness represented the law of destruction. The law of destruction manifested from the measure tribulation, completely unstoppable. Any living being that was tainted by this darkness would only be able to shatter together with the real world. Even their souls would be destroyed along with it, not even having a chance to reincarnate. This was also the reason why he had always been so cautious when facing the measure tribulation. This was also the reason why Xie Guhong didn't dare to face this tribulation in the age of old. He was being watched too closely by the divinities. Something as terrifying as the measure tribulation. As long as you're delayed for even a bit, you'll die without any room for maneuver. And to successfully face the measure tribulation, there's only one way. Gu Shan turned around to look at the static scenes in front of him. He had to pass through all the scenes in front of him. In the first scene, there was a dark devil with goat horns on his head. It was the first demon that Gu Shan killed in his memories, now manifested by the law of heaven to avenge its death. Gu Shan charged into the scene and swung his sword. The goat-horned demon charged forward in an attempt to block, only to be cleaved in half. The law of heaven had its own rules. Although Gu Shan killed this demon in the past, it was for the sake of his own survival, so the law of heaven didn't grant this demon too much power. The demon's power was only 3 times stronger than before. It was equipped with the best weapons and armors it could wield. But with Gu Shan's current strength, it was a simple matter for him to deal with such a demon. Following the goat-horned demon's death, the scene shattered. Gu Shan returned to the Measure Tribulation world. Behind him, the world's destruction was accelerating. The darkness was quickly spreading and eroding forward. Gu Shan didn't waste any more time and rushed to the next scene. There were 5 demons in this image. Gu Shan drew his sword. The demons were dead. The scene shattered. He continued to the next scene. These demons were only a warm-up. Not too long later, he met the first person he killed. More precisely, it was a group of people, including a few hitmen and a martial master. These people were ordered by the Federation aristocrats to stop him on the street, wanting to kill him. They were given form and power by the law of heaven to return for revenge. Gu Shan charged into the group and swung his sword. Everyone died. The scene shattered. Gu Shan's heart sank a bit. These people were clearly normal humans, but they were empowered by the law of heaven and earth to have the power of a rejuvenation realm cultivator. This was a huge leap. There was no time to think. Gu Shan continued to move forward, putting some distance between himself and the darkness that was chasing after him. He charged into another scene. A group of demons. These were the monsters of the cultivation world, as well as a group of low-level demons that he killed when he first arrived at Shenwu World to escape. Gu Shan swung his swords. All the demons were slaughtered. The scene shattered. With his strength, killing these monsters was as easy as chopping vegetables for him. Behind him, the darkness had already passed through the second scene and was silently chasing after him. Gu Shan quickly charged into the next scene. Chapter 978. The darkness continued to spread, relentlessly chasing after Gu Shan. Within the darkness, the destructive power of the law of destruction was destroying everything in its path. This was the most terrifying power of the Measure Tribulation, originating from the law of heaven and earth itself, something that no one could resist. The next scene suddenly shattered. Gu Shan wielded his sword and jumped into the next scene. In just a few moments, he had entered a new scene, only to see a cultivator standing in front of him. Blue clouds pass. Li Chang'an. This was a cultivator that he killed during the semester examination. You killed me. Now it's my turn to take revenge. Li Chang'an was wearing a suit of armor from the cultivation world, wielding a spear as he charged at Gu Shan. The spear turned into 7 to 8 blurred images, aiming for Gu Shan's vitals. His first attack was a suicidal attack. Gu Shan walked up to the spear image, parried it with his sword, then pressed forward with his sword. A flash of light circled around Li Chang'an's neck. Li Chang'an was blown away by the intense, sword-infused wind, his head and body falling to the ground. Bam! The scene of Li Chang'an's death slowly faded away. Without stopping, Gu Shan quickly entered the next scene. Gu Shan didn't stop and quickly entered the next scene. A horde of demons suddenly appeared. A horde of demons suddenly appeared. As soon as Gu Shan entered, they had already leapt at him. Gu Shan wielded the earth sword with one hand, unleashing sword phantoms one after another. The demons were erased on the spot by the sharp sword phantoms. With Gu Shan's current 3,000 worlds realm cultivation, the sword phantoms he unleashed when he used his spirit energy weren't something these demons could resist. Like a hot knife through butter, Gu Shan continued to move forward through the horde of demons. Not a single one of them was a match for him. However, his brows furrowed. These demons were clearly the ones he killed back in Shenwu World using the tribulation. But they're already as strong as an ascended realm cultivator. That's a bit too much. Not only that, the darkness had already spread to the back, silently approaching. Sorry, you guys have to die a little faster, Gu Shan said in a low voice. Countless sword phantoms bloomed from the sword, killing all the demons in the scene. The black mist arrived. Gu Shan disappeared from the screen. He dodged it. However, he didn't even have time to catch his breath as he quickly rushed into the next scene. "You killed me, you killed me," a cultivator shouted in a frenzy. Following that, a few spirit beasts also appeared. During the spirit beast riot, the cultivators and spirit beasts he killed appeared together. Gu Shan raised her sword to meet the enemy and replied, "Military law is as strict as a mountain." Just as he was about to kill his opponent, his mind suddenly went blank. "No!" A voice filled with despair and regret sounded in his ears. Gu Shan felt like his body was about to explode. All the hairs on his body were standing on end. This voice seemed to have come from an extremely distant place, and it was transmitted to his ears with all its might. It was the voice of the giant corpse. It seemed to have sensed that he was in the middle of a measured tribulation, so it was trying to remind him of something. But the voice was cut off. Behind Gu Shan, the black mist was moving even faster. Gu Shan unleashed his full power to kill all the enemies in front of him. The scene shattered. He landed on the ground and rushed towards the next scene. What exactly happened? Wiping the cold sweat off his forehead, Gu Shan's heart was beating faster. The giant corpse didn't hesitate to pay any price to send such a regretful and despairing sigh from the faraway space-time. What exactly was it for? Gu Shan quickly woke up and noticed that something was wrong. He rushed into another scene and killed a faceless giant. This faceless giant came from the dark tunnel, the one he killed when he first came to Huang Quan from the human realm. The faceless giant's power had already reached Sainted Realm. But that wasn't a problem. The problem was, this meant that he would have to face the monsters he killed in Huang Quan, as well as the trillions of dead people of Huang Quan. According to the law of the measured tribulation, this wasn't a hard fight. While Gu Shan was thinking, his vision suddenly became blurry. A large hole appeared in the void of space. A piece of black scale fell in front of Gu Shan. Gu Shan recognized it right away and caught it. Black scale. That's right, this is the giant corpse's scale. When I was studying the mystery of all beings equal, the giant corpse also gave me a piece of scale. The mystery of all beings equal was hidden inside this scale. Gu Shan's heart tightened. What exactly was the reason why the giant corpse didn't hesitate to send such a piece of scale from the faraway space-time? He continued to move forward, but his inner sight was closely observing the black scale. The black scale broke off from his hand and turned into a glowing mystical rune. The giant corpse's voice followed. "I can't help you anymore. You need to quickly think of a way." The voice was cut off. Obviously, this piece of black scale had traveled too far that the measured tribulation world cut off its words. At the same time, lines of glowing text appeared on the war god UI. Frowny face discovered unique one-time use spell. Domain of law. Domain of law. You can use the origin of an item on your body to add the law of the world where that item was born to the current world. Duration, 3 seconds. As Gu Shan skimmed through it, he quickly thought about it. The giant corpse gave me this spell. Why? What is it trying to say? Could it be that the killing tribulation I caused in Huang Quan was especially heavy, so it felt like helping me? That can't be right. According to the law, the dead are already considered dead within Huang Quan. Killing them shouldn't be considered a heavy crime. But if the law of heaven insists that these dead must also be dealt with, I'll have to face trillions of living beings to deal with. That shouldn't be the case. Among the cultivation inheritances I obtained, there is a portion of the Tao Lord's experience of breaking through the measured tribulation from the age of old. According to the Tao Lord, although the measured tribulation is terrifying, the law of heaven and earth shouldn't be this cruel. The law of heaven and earth should give a cultivator a sliver of hope during the later stages of the measured tribulation. This chance of survival comes from the cultivator's good deeds and merit. At the most dangerous moment of the measured tribulation, the law of heaven and earth will consider the cultivator's merit and use the cultivator's good deeds to counteract a portion of the measured tribulation's power. If a cultivator only cares about killing without any good deeds, then this chance of survival will also disappear. But everything I've done is to save. I've saved both the human realm and Huang Quan. The number of living beings in both worlds is uncountable. My merit far outweighs my sins. According to logic, the chance of survival left for me by the measure tribulation should be about to manifest. Gu Shan swung the twin swords heaven and earth to kill a group of vicious demons. These were the demons that guarded the dark tunnel at the time, also included in the law of heaven and earth punishment for Gu Shan's killing. The image shattered. As Gu Shan flew out, his expression froze a bit. Behind him, the law of destruction that could crush anything was approaching again. The next image appeared in front of him. The killing tribulation in Huang Quan was about to begin. Gu Shan's figure flashed and entered the next image before the law of destruction could catch up to him. But this time, the feeling wasn't the same. Gu Shan felt himself falling downwards. He looked down. The densely packed dead stood in every inch of the field of vision. Gu Shan stopped in midair and released his inner sight to search further into the image. It was endless. Endless dead people filled the entire world, all of which were bestowed with sainted realm power. Even if Gu Shan was a 3,000 worlds realm cultivator, he was still nothing in front of a trillion such powerful dead people. Die! The dead roared in anger. Gu Shan waited for a split second. Nothing happened. The law of heaven and earth didn't calculate his good deeds or merit, nor did it reduce the danger of the measure tribulation for him. Instead, the dead people all charged at him. Gu Shan looked at these dead people manifested from the law of heaven and earth. I can't beat them, but I can't kill them all. The law of destruction is still chasing after me. This is a sure death situation. Gu Shan suddenly understood what the giant corpse meant. He took out the Devil King Warden Rod and infused it with the mystical technique the giant corpse gave him. Law of Law, Huang Quan, he shouted. Boom! The light of the technique enveloped the entire Devil King Warden Rod and began to infuse the law of Huang Quan into this world. But the law of Huang Quan can only last for 3 seconds. Without hesitation, Gu Shan released the Earth Sword and opened up an empty space on the ground. He landed, stabbed the Devil King Warden Rod into the ground, and shouted, All of you die again. The Devil King Warden Rod let out a red glow that instantly spread across the entire world. Soul Dispersion activated. Scepter's Secret Art. Soul Dispersion. Secret Art Description. The Devil King can use the power of the scepter to permanently eliminate any disobedient dead people. The souls of the dead that are killed will disperse and turn into the scepter's power. The entire world became empty. All the dead people disappeared without a trace, killed on the spot by the Devil King Warden Rod. A series of crisp noises resounded. The world that originally could have killed him was destroyed just like that. Gu Shan has broken through this scene and can now move forward again. However, his expression gradually darkened. He understood what the giant corpse meant. The measure tribulation. It's impossible to pass. I need to quickly think of a way to escape from the measure tribulation. Chapter 979. Gu Shan didn't stop for even a second. He rushed into the scenes, killed the enemies inside, and then rushed to the next scene. Darkness spread. The law of destruction had already destroyed his path. Gu Shan ran into a new image. Wang Hongdao and Tian Shanyi appeared at the same time. They were no longer Cryptic Realm, but Radiant Soul Realm, only one step away from seeing the void. Gu Shan only hesitated for a split second. He found that he still didn't have any merit. He swung his sword. Wang Hongdao and Tian Shan didn't even have time to react before they were killed. Even if this pair of master and disciple were Radiant Soul Realm, they still weren't enough against the current Gu Shan. This was the effect of numbers. If trillions of dead people attacked at once, Gu Shan didn't think he could stop it. But no matter how strong these two Radiant Soul Realm people were, he wasn't afraid. His thoughts quickly turned. Tree's Collection World. The 2 million demonized people weren't killed by me. This can't be counted as my doing. But how am I going to face the God of Frost and Chill, who's become 3 realms stronger? I'm a Paragon Realm Peak. If I become 3 realms stronger, I'll directly reach Sumera 3 Lord's realm. What about the abyssal magic dragon, who became 3 realms stronger? The soul Shrika? The abyssal state of Lin? Without merit, I can't even win against one of them. It's not a good thing to rely solely on my imagination. Gu Shan clenched his teeth and rushed towards the next image as soon as the image shattered. Rakshasa appeared. "You ambushed me and killed me," he roared in anger. Gu Shan glanced at him. Rakshasa disappeared. When he reappeared, he was nothing but dust. The image shattered. Gu Shan continued flying towards the next image. If I don't have any merit from start to finish, if all of this is real, what should I do? Just like all heaven's tribulations, the measured tribulation is a tribulation that the law of heaven and earth sends to cultivators breakthrough and sent down. How would I escape from this tribulation? Gu Shan's eyes turned a bit. In history, was there anyone who managed to escape from a tribulation? No. No matter how far away a cultivator went, the heavenly tribulation would always follow the cultivator until the cultivator survived the heavenly tribulation or died during the heavenly tribulation. Gu Shan gripped her swords tightly. If he really had to face the god of frost and chill in the Sumera Lord realm, as he moved forward, he discovered something strange. The monster they met at the giant corpse did not appear. He had clearly killed it. However, the laws of heaven and earth did not materialize that monster to stop him. Was there a problem with the laws of heaven and earth, or was there a problem with him? Gu Shan's mind was in chaos, unable to find an answer. However, he believed the giant corpse's words even more. He continued moving forward. He bumped into another scene. This time, he was facing an ancient monster, the Demon Eye. Gu Shan drew her sword and stepped forward. Damn it, he thought to himself. The entire timeline was a mess. Actually, according to the chronological order, he should start from the ancient era. God knows why the cataclysm is so chaotic. The image shattered. He continued forward. Finally, Gu Shan arrived at another scene. A divinity exuding a frigid aura hovered in the air, exuding unimaginable pressure. He roared, "Despicable human, you actually used a sneak attack to kill me and stole my position." At this point, his power had reached an unprecedented level, almost like a true divinity. With Gu Shan's current strength, there was nothing he could do. This wasn't a cataclysm. This was a cataclysm of absolute death. Gu Shan glanced at him, but didn't look at the real god of frost and chill again. As soon as he entered the scene and sensed the familiar frigid aura, he understood that he couldn't stay here any longer. Reality had proven the giant corpse's words. I can't make it through the cataclysm. If I don't want to die here, I have to think of a way to escape from the cataclysm. But the cataclysm was a type of heaven's tribulation. No matter where a cultivator went, it would always follow them. Until the end. Although this was a situation of death, Gu Shan was already prepared for it. He had always been facing death. Ice glass. Gu Shan sent his voice. "Gongzi, I'm ready." Luo Bingli's voice came from the heaven sword. Gu Shan drew the heaven sword without hesitation. He changed the direction of the heaven sword and slashed at himself with all his might. Chaotic flow, activate. Chaotic flow. When the heaven sword strikes an entity, you will be able to make that entity skip the current moment until the moment of her choosing. Gu Shan's aura instantly dissipated. He directly returned himself to the state he was when he first broke through to 3,000 Worlds realm. At the time, he had only just passed the earth, water, fire, and wind tribulations. His cultivation was still unstable, so he didn't have the spirit energy waves he was giving off right now. To him at the time, he didn't have enough spirit energy to break through to Paragon realm. He didn't have his current comprehension of cultivation. And most importantly, he didn't have the strength to trigger the cataclysm. In just a few moments, Gu Shan fell from the peak of 3,000 Worlds realm. No! The god of frost and chill uttered an unwilling roar, seemingly about to attack. But Gu Shan had already been pushed away by that scene. All the scenes quickly faded away. The entire cataclysm world slowly faded away. Without the feeling of resonance with heaven and earth that cultivators felt when breaking through, The heavens' tribulation couldn't find its target. Since the cataclysm couldn't sense Gu Qing Shan's breakthrough, it could only disappear. The world returned to normal. This was the world of adamantine. Gu Qing Shan stood still and said nothing. I'm going to sleep. Chaotic flow takes too much energy. I won't be able to move for the next 10 days. Don't wake me up. Luo Bingli's tired voice came from the heaven's sword. All right, it's all thanks to you this time, Gu Qing Shan replied. It's fine. The situation just now was too dangerous. Saying so, Luo Bingli yawned and went silent. Gu Qing Shan put the heaven's sword back into his thought sea. With the earth sword in hand, he stood alone in the world of adamantine. At this point, Shanu and Lin flew back from afar. Gongzi, why did your cultivation return to normal? She asked in surprise. Lin looked at Gu Qing Shan with a thoughtful expression. As Gu Qing Shan was about to say something, he felt some sort of unique guidance. He immediately sat down cross-legged and told Shanu, "Watch over me. I'll be right back," saying so. He closed his eyes. A few moments later, under Shanu and Lin's watchful eyes, his soul vessel came out from his body and flew into the sky. Lin watched as his soul vessel left and asked in confusion, "Where did he go?" Shanu said nothing, took out a formation plate, and began to arrange various defensive formations. After everything was arranged, she held the Six Paths Great Mountain Sword in hand and stood guard by Gu Qing Shan's side. It was now that she said, "I don't know everything about Gongzi. Just ask him when he returns." Gu Qing Shan was flying through the boundless space vortex. This time, his cultivation was much higher than before, so he could sense a faint layer of power enveloping his body. None of the mysterious entities in the void of space could detect him. After a long flight, the void of space in front of Gu Qing Shan changed. An unknown and mysterious world was slowly unfolding in front of him. Countless black skeletons roamed the vast land, never stopping to rest. At the very center of the ground, there was a bronze pillar that connected heaven and earth. The giant corpse wearing black armor was nailed to the bronze pillar. Its body hadn't recovered much. One of its arms had already turned into white bones with countless tiny flesh sprouting from it. After being bitten by that monster last time, this arm was slowly recovering. "Long time no see," Gu Qing Shan said. "You actually managed to escape the measure tribulation. I thought you would die." The giant corpse's thunderous voice resounded in Gu Qing Shan's mind. "You don't have that much confidence in me." Gu Qing Shan smiled and asked, "It's not your problem. Let me ask you, after so many years, how many people have managed to surpass 3,000 worlds realm? Demigod?" Gu Qing Shan tried asking. "Both demigods and divinities are fake," the giant corpse replied. Gu Qing Shan also understood this, so she asked, "If what you're saying is true, then no one can surpass 3,000 worlds realm." "There are, but they are extremely rare existences, but I'm sure that you're not such a person," the giant corpse replied. Gu Qing Shan pursued, "What kind of person?" "Returnee. You think that I'm not a returnee, so you think that I'll die in the measure tribulation?" "Correct. Why?" "Because..." The giant corpse sighed and spoke dejectedly. "In truth, the era of normal living beings has already ended. The laws of the outer plane are rejecting living beings day by day, so the measure tribulation will no longer bestow merit upon you, nor will it help you reach Paragon Realm, or even higher realms." Gu Qing Shan was shocked. He tried his best to remain calm and asked in a low voice, "Then why can returnees continue to break through?" The giant corpse replied, "Because when returnees break through, they use the laws of heaven and earth of the inner plane. Returnees will always bring something unique with them to reincarnate. Those things carry the laws of the inner plane, so when returnees break through, they borrow the laws of heaven and earth of the inner plane, not the laws of the outer world, so they won't be killed. Where is the inner plane?" Gu Qing Shan asked. "The bottom of the eternal abyss is the entrance to the inner plane," the giant corpse replied. The giant corpse paused, seemingly noticing the light of hope in Gu Qing Shan's eyes. After a bit of hesitation, he explained, "You don't need to think about going to the inner plane. That place has already been destroyed by the apocalypse." Chapter 980. The Unenlightened World. The giant corpse was telling Gu Shan some shocking secrets. The world is like a rotten apple. When the inside is gradually destroyed, its surface will also show a gradually dilapidated and damaged Xiangzi. The apocalypse will eventually spread from the inner plane to the outer plane, destroying everything in its path. The most direct evidence of this is that for the past few hundred years, the laws of the outer plane have been restraining normal living beings from becoming stronger and stronger. The giant corpse sighed and continued. This is so subtle that others wouldn't be able to notice it, but I can sense it at every moment. Gu Shan went silent for a bit, then asked, other than the fact that the measure tribulation doesn't have any merit, is there any other evidence? The giant corpse replied, haven't you noticed that more and more living beings are manifesting new abilities? Gu Shan thought for a bit. He suddenly recalled the book he read in the 900 Million World Layers Alliance's World Profession Affairs Division. That book recorded all the new professions and abilities that had been manifesting in the world, and the number was increasing every year. I do know about this, Gu Shan nodded. The giant corpse explained. This is actually the soul point's origin of living beings, sensing the world origin's rejection and killing intent, so it naturally stimulated and mutated. Gu Shan pondered. In order to survive and adapt to the environment? Correct. Then, now that I can't advance anymore, what should I do? I need to understand your situation first. And here I was wondering why your advancement was so slow. Who could have thought you'd suddenly reach 3,000 worlds realm peak all of a sudden? Following his voice, a piece of black scale armor detached from his chest and slowly floated in front of Gu Shan. The scale armor peeled off to reveal a glowing rune. You've only been here for a short period of time. We'll use this method to communicate, the giant corpse said. Receiving the glowing rune, a line of glowing text appeared in front of Gu Shan's eyes, frowny face. One-time memory transfer method. You can select a portion of what you've experienced and directly transfer it to the other party's consciousness. Gu Shan activated this technique and smiled bitterly. It's a long story. I went to the Age of Old. He told her everything that happened in the Age of Old. But he didn't mention anything about the war god system. Moments later, the giant corpse's voice resounded. So you're saying that the secret of all beings equal can already be seen through? It seems that this secret has reached the point where it needs to be improved. But you have to make the choice yourself. It then sighed, full of regret. You actually obtained the demon-suppressing armament from the bottom of the abyss. Unfortunately, you still can't go to the inner plane. That place has already collapsed. Gu Shan said, I only care about one thing right now. How do I improve my strength? Fortunately, you've obtained a precious identity. The giant corpse spoke with a joyful tone. What identity? Gu Shan was surprised. The giant corpse spat out 4 words. Envoy of condemnation. Gu Shan was stunned. The giant corpse continued. The envoy of condemnation doesn't belong to the outer plane, but rather a powerful profession that originated from the inner plane. You're the embodiment of the inner plane's powerful origin and formations. So you still have this path to become stronger. What should I do? Gu Shan couldn't wait to ask. The giant corpse replied, an Azure card. Gu Shan, you must increase your condemnation rank to Azure. Then you'll be able to combine several origin cards to create a world of your own. Gu Shan suddenly recalled a certain person. Buttercup. When Buttercup went to see Bali and Meow, she also used several scrolls to create a portrait of herself before leaving the painting. This seems to be a high-level technique. You mean, once I reach Azure, I'll be able to create a world and face my tribulation? Gu Shan hesitantly asked. In fact, your Iris Sword has already created a world, so it has a certain foundation. Furthermore, the condemnation cards create the laws of heaven and earth of the inner plane, so it won't kill you. You'll be able to face a normal measure tribulation, the giant corpse slowly explained. The world slowly became brighter. Faint blue light began to appear in the sky. These blue lights were gathering from all directions towards the top of the bronze pillar. As Gu Shan looked up, she sensed an unstoppable will of destruction from these faint blue lights. The giant corpse immediately said, "Oh no, I can't tell you much. Simply put, after you rank up, you need to find an object that contains the laws of the inner plane, seal them into a card, then combine them into a miniature inner plane. You'll be able to advance again. Rumble, rumble. A series of thunderclaps resounded in the sky. Hide this in your thoughts, see? We'll look at it when we get back, hurry, the giant corpse urged her. A piece of black scale loosened from his chest plate, fell off, turned into a blurred image, and flew into Gu Qingshan's hand. As soon as Gu Qingshan caught this piece of black scale, he felt an immense force pushing him back. He was about to be pushed out of this world. Wait a minute. I still don't know about your condition. If I don't become stronger, there's no point in asking anything, the giant corpse sighed and cut off Gu Qingshan's question. Following that, as if a powerful rope was pulling Gu Qingshan back in the direction he came from. Gu Qingshan recalled the other party's reminder and quickly hid the piece of black scale in his thought sea. He turned around, only to see a blinding flash of lightning in that illusory world. Boom, 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 lightning. The giant corpse began to be struck by the lightning. Who exactly created this world? Why did the giant corpse have to be imprisoned in this world, constantly using this near-destructive power to punish him? There's no way to know. Gu Qingshan was quickly flying through the space vortex. It's time to return. He shook his head, full of worry. But I still gained something. The outer plane is slowly abandoning living beings, but I've obtained the method to become stronger. The Diamond World. The figure of his soul vessel descended from the sky and entered Gu Qingshan's body. Gongzi has returned, Shanu joyfully exclaimed. Gu Qingshan opened his eyes. His expression changed a bit as he opened his hand and took something out from his thought sea. The black scale broke apart in front of him, turning into a glowing mystical rune. Lines of glowing text quickly appeared on the war god. UI, frowny face, discovered unique technique. Mystery of all beings equal. Right now, you can either grasp this technique or use your own mystery of all beings equal to devour it to evolve the mystery of all beings equal, further deepening the level of the mystery of all beings equal so that no one more powerful than you can detect your true nature. Reading this mystical rune, Gu Qingshan fell into thought. Should I grasp the mystery of all beings equal, or let the mystery of all beings equal evolve? This is the question. At another location, Shenwu World, Baihua Sect, Qin Shaolu, Xiao Xiao, Wan Air, and Qing Ro were all standing on a roof of Baihua Palace, looking at the great lake in the distance. A small figure was standing on the surface of the lake, guiding the heaven and earth's tribulation. Qin Shaolu crossed his arms and sighed. This little girl, she's been staying at our sect every day without leaving, even borrowing our place to face her tribulation. When Shifu returns, I'm going to have a good talk with her. He sat down, no longer looking at the lake, but instead took out a gourd of liquor and slowly drank by himself. Wan Air and Qing Ro both had serious expressions on their faces. They stared at the lake without blinking. Xiao Xiao looked at Qin Shaolu, then at the two girls and couldn't help but ask, Big Sis Wan Air, Big Sis Qing Ro, what's going on? Wan Air had an expression of disbelief on her face, speaking a bit frantically. Your senior brother normally doesn't read books, so he doesn't know that what he's seeing right now is already beyond our understanding. Xiao Xiao was shocked. Qing Ro stroked Xiao Xiao's head and sighed. If it weren't for this little girl's relationship with Shifu, I would have already reported this to the other great cultivators. Why? Xiao Xiao asked. Qing Ro answered, because I've never even heard of the heaven's tribulation that she's facing. I really don't know what's going on or what kind of existence she is. Xiao Xiao turned to look at the lake. The little girl formed a hand seal and shouted, Measure tribulation, come. The entire lake had undergone earth-shattering changes. Images appeared in front of the little girl, while behind her was the ever-expanding darkness. Right at this time, something suddenly appeared next to the little girl. What is that? It's too strong, that thing. It feels like it's a treasure that belongs to her. Look, she's already standing on it. The three girls couldn't help but whisper to each other. Qin Xiao Lu was drinking when he suddenly heard their discussion, so he raised his head and looked at the lake. Ah! He put the gourd down and asked in surprise, "Why does this golden lotus look the same as Shifu's?" Chapter 981. Gu Qin Shan glanced down at the mystical rune in his hand. He felt a sense of understanding, as if he naturally knew what to do. Following his thought, the rune, which was emitting a halo of light, completely collapsed, turning into specks of starry light that submerged into his sea of consciousness. At the same time, lines of glowing text appeared on the war god UI. Frowny face, you've absorbed the mystery rune. You've chosen to upgrade the mystery of all beings equal. This ability is currently undergoing a change. Please do not attempt to use this ability within the next 3 hours. Otherwise, the ability's change will be affected. After 3 hours, your ability to use this mystery will greatly increase. By the way, I wish you the best of luck in performing from now on. Reading that last line, Gu Qin Shan raised his eyebrows. Where did you go? Lin asked with interest. Gu Qin Shan regained his senses and replied, I went to see an old friend. Every time I face a tribulation, he would sense me and bring me to his place for a chat. Lin looked at him with an expression of disbelief. Gu Qin Shan told her about the measure tribulation, then explained, he's currently imprisoned in a miniature world, unable to move. Only I can occasionally go and see him. Lin thought for a bit and said, take me to see him next time. Seeing Gu Qin Shan's doubtful expression, she said, the person you know might be a prisoner? Indeed, ever since the beginning of human civilization, humans have discovered that there are a lot of things that exist in an incomprehensible space. You don't know what they're used for, nor do you know why the living beings within them are imprisoned. You mean, don't ask, I don't know any more than that. Lin showed a rare look of exhaustion and said, sometimes I really wish that humans could live in a lonely universe where there are no strange things around and no one has any supernatural abilities. That kind of life would be much more stable, unlike our current situation where we're always surrounded by billions of worlds filled with endless secrets. Everything we do is easy to get into trouble, and we have to be careful at all times. It was rare for Lin to reveal her thoughts. Gu Qin Shan thought about what she described. At this point, he felt that Lin was quite interesting. She seemed to be a person who had gone through many hardships. Gu Qin Shan smiled and said, in that case, people will have no choice but to face birth, old age, sickness, and death without being able to do anything about it. Do you want that to happen? If there is reincarnation, I'm willing, Lin muttered. The samsara is a unique weapon, Shanna chimed in. That's right, but it doesn't affect our lives. Souls naturally circulate through reincarnation. Isn't that great? Lin said. The smile on Gu Qin Shan's face froze. That's right. Souls can go back and forth in the 6 paths of reincarnation. Reincarnation is a weapon after all. He murmured. He recalled the time when he brought Bali and Meow back to his homeworld. Since the Soul Shrieker's subordinates could revive after death, they weren't afraid of Bali and Meow at all. But what had he done at that time? I used the 6 Paths Great Mountain Sword and the Forgetting River Soul Flaying Hook to keep them in my homeworld. Their souls were sent in the realm of Huang Quan, where they were completely destroyed by the Devil King Warden Rod. At the very last moment in the realm of Huang Quan, when the Soul Shrieker almost appeared, I had to use the Devil King Warden Rod to stop it. Gu Qin Shan suddenly shivered. So this is the true value of the samsara, which means any enemy within the samsara would be the same as those people, unable to gain the eternal and undying characteristic. But I need to confirm this further. What's the matter? Lin asked. It's nothing. Gu Qin Shan regained her senses and silently kept this in mind. The most important thing right now is to become stronger. This is the foundation of everything. Gu Qin Shan began to think about what to do next. First of all, the Envoy of Condemnation's promotion needs to be considered at length. It's not something that can be done right now. After promotion, I still need to use cards to create worlds. This requires me to collect items that contain the laws of the inner plane, but I can do it at the same time as I rank up my cards. Then, how should I rank up my cards? Gu Shan carefully thought about what Little Dusk told her before. There are 3 ways to become stronger. The first is to advance naturally like you did. The second is to devour other cards. The third is to search for the inheritance left behind by the ancient gods and use it to increase the level of your cards. What inheritance of the old gods? That's not the case at all. Gu Shan silently thought. Little Dusk was brainwashed into believing that the old gods created everything. In truth, those things were probably precious materials left behind by the bygone era humans. After all, those materials can be used to create powerful soul artifacts. Even the promotion of the order requires them. Naturally evolving is definitely impossible, and it's even harder to find materials left behind by the bygone era humans. So it's best if I can find some cards to consume. After thinking through everything, Gu Shan casually grabbed the Chao Yin sword and swung it at the sky. A blinding sword phantom rose all the way to the sky. In front of the sword phantom, the night sky looked like 2 curtains that slowly parted. Images of many worlds appeared in the sky, appearing one after another, alternating with each other until they reached the farthest point. In front of the 3,000 worlds. After going through so much, we need to find a place to rest. Gu Shan turned around to look at Lin. Pick one. Which world should we go to? Lin was stunned. Rest? This word is too unfamiliar to her. Why should I pick one? Lin asked. Because you're still injured? We need to pick a place that you're satisfied with. Gu Shan shrugged. Regardless of what the Earth Creator had set up in Riddle World, they couldn't go there right now. Nor could they follow Riddle World to return to the strife zones according to the star chart. The best solution right now is to find a world to rest, wait for Lin's injuries to recover, then slowly ask for more information about Riddle World. Lin sniffled a bit and looked up at the sky. A few moments later, Gu Shan murmured, "What is it? Do you have any money on you?" It's the kind of currency you use to buy things and eat at restaurants. Ah, that. Wait a minute. Gu Shan was surprised. He searched through his inventory bag and took out a small black bag. That's good. Back in Drifting Sand World, he killed a high-ranking member of the Holy Church of Death and obtained a large sum of money. This sum of money was originally supposed to be split with the Demon Scorpion family, but after they split up, the money naturally remained. This sum of money was quite considerable. Gu Shan took out a coin from the small black bag. This was a dark blue coin with an octopus-like monster engraved on the front, while the number 109 was engraved on the back. The number 109 coin, the most valuable coin in the entire bag, it had a unique ability. A counterfeit coin of the divine race. I've never really paid much attention to such shoddy things. Lin looked at the coin and commented. Of course, it's not as powerful as the bygone-era humanities coins, but it's enough for daily use, Gu Shan replied. He silently muttered in his mind, "Ice drink, bam." A small sound. Under Gu Shan's silent command, the octopus engraved on the front of the coin spat out a large wooden box. Gu Shan received the box, opened it in front of the 2 girls, and gestured, "Do you want a drink?" In reality, this was a fridge that was filled to the brim with a wide variety of drinks. Shanu turned back into her human form from Sword Spirit without hesitation and took a glass of iced fruit juice. "Thank you, Gongzi." She took a sip and smiled. Lin looked at it for a bit, then took a bottle of milk and started drinking. Gu Shan took out a bottle of strong liquor, opened it, and gulped it down in one gulp. The 3 of them simply watched the constantly rotating images of the world in the sky and silently drank their drinks. It feels good to be able to rest for a bit. Gu Shan's eyes turned a bit, then looked at Lin and carefully asked, Did you take an envoy of condemnation called Little Dusk? The current ruler of the Strife Zones is the Abyssal Magic Dragon. Everything I hid there has already been taken by him, Lin casually replied. Gu Shan sighed. Lin continued, "Don't think too much about it. Once the Ring of Vow returns to me, I'll definitely seek revenge from the Magic Dragon sooner or later. This time, I'll take that little girl back and return her to you. Thank you. As long as you remember to take me to the Reality Gate in the future, I won't forget." That's good, Lin readily agreed. She looked up at the sky for a bit, then pointed at a certain world. We're going there. Gu Qingshan looked up, only to see that Lin was pointing at a very lively world. Although this world's level of civilization wasn't that high, Gu Qingshan saw with her own eyes a group of combatants eating supper at a stall on the street. Their strength had probably reached the level of passable. There were countless civilizations within the 900 million world layers, as well as countless strange and unusual life forms. Although each profession was divided into many levels, just like cultivators, it was very difficult to distinguish between these countless existences with just a few levels. Sometimes, the level of civilization didn't really matter. The most important thing was that there were combatants watching over this world. With combatants, the civilization and the world would be protected, and the world would become lively and prosperous. "Let's go," Gu Qingshan said. He released an airship and brought Lin and Shanu towards that world. Chapter 982. The Seaside World. In space, an airship had just entered this world and was quickly flying through the sky. After a long flight, they had finally reached this world. Shanna looked down at the dimly lit night below with a curious expression. "What's the matter?" Gu Qingshan stroked her hair that was being blown about by the night wind and asked. Gongzi, if Luo Bingley was awake, she would probably like this world a lot. "Ah, that's right. She's never seen a world like this before," Gu Qingshan smiled. "We don't need to travel for now anyway. We can rest here for a bit. She'll have a chance to see this world." Shanu happily nodded. Gu Qingshan lightly cut her finger, crouched down, and lightly drew a pattern on the deck of the airship. Lin turned around, glanced at the pattern, and scoffed. "A low-level devil summoning technique. Why did you summon a devil?" The devil summoning technique that Gu Qingshan learned was something she learned on a ship when she first entered the strife zones. At the time, the crew member called Wang Cheng used the devil summoning technique to summon the Huang Quan Devil King, Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan lowered her head to seriously draw the summoning pattern and answered, "This place is most likely a chaotic world at the outskirts of strife zones. I'm currently wanted by the entire strife zones, so I can't easily show myself. So I need a new identity." He glanced at the notification on the war god UI. "Frowny face mystery of all beings equal has completed its advancement. When you use this mystery, your body and even your soul will imitate the other party from the origin level, making it extremely difficult for anyone to discover any flaws." Hearing him say that, Lin ignored him and looked down at the night below. "Ocean," she muttered as her eyebrows slowly smoothed out. This was a famous seaside world. Civilization was built on various islands. The climate was pleasant, and the environment was beautiful. Under the night sky, the sea and the starry sky reflected off each other, displaying an enchanting atmosphere of the seaside. But Gu Qingshan didn't have the time to enjoy the scenery. The abyssal magic dragon knew a lot about him, so he had to use an identity that he had never used before. Now that the summoning pattern was complete, it was time to recite the contract. "I will use money as a reward to summon you, no matter which world you come from or what kind of devil you are. As long as you come to my place and stay for a short while, I will reward you with money. Come, appear in front of me, and take this money." Gu Qingshan placed a handful of coins into the summoning pattern. Lin turned around, looked at the money, and scoffed. "What can you do with so little money? Besides, the devil's preferred currency is souls." Gu Qingshan didn't even raise her head as she said, "You only need to come here once, and you'll get the money. I'm sure the devil will come sooner or later." "Only a few low-ranked devils will come," Lin replied. "It doesn't matter. The more inconspicuous, the better. I don't need to attract attention." Gu Qingshan smiled. Lin understood and replied, I'm currently injured, so I really can't afford to be disturbed. So it's good that you've turned into an unassuming fellow." As the two of them spoke, the summoning pattern gradually emitted light. Lin suddenly said, "If it's a sticky-type devil, you're not allowed to turn into it." Sticky-type devils only had a single role in all of the devil and devil worlds, which was to clean up corpses. "All right," Gu Qingshan agreed. Lin continued, "Corpse-type devils aren't allowed either. Their stench is too strong. All right, frenzied devils aren't allowed either. They're too fierce. I can't help but want to beat them up. All right, those lecherous Wretched devils aren't allowed either. All right, suture-type devils are too ugly. All right, Lin thought for a bit, then finally said, "That's it. You can change into anything else." Gu Qing Shan smiled bitterly. "If that's the case, I'll probably have to summon them a few more times." Bam! A loud noise resounded from the summoning pattern. The devil had arrived. The three of them looked at the pattern. A monster whose entire body was covered in sutures appeared. The monster reached its hand out to take the money on top of the summoning pattern. Gu Qing Shan drew the earth sword and lightly tapped the monster's head. The monster immediately fainted. Bam! It turned into a puff of white smoke and disappeared from this world. An unconscious summoned creature will return to where it came from. The summoning pattern was still active. The pile of money was still perfectly placed on top of the summoning pattern. The next devil appeared. This was a monster covered in pustules with a head like a turtle. Bam! Gu Qing Shan knocked the devil's head with the earth sword. Before the devil could fully manifest, it was knocked unconscious and laid back down. "Not bad. You've reacted quite quickly," Lin exclaimed in admiration. The summoning pattern continued to operate. The next devil appeared. Pale, slender arms, jet black hair, a sharp chin, and a pair of bewitching eyes. His body was tall and muscular. His clothes were fashionable and trendy. Gu Qing Shan raised the earth sword, a bit hesitant. This was an excessively beautiful male devil. Although he wasn't too perverted, he was still a bit too ostentatious. The devil waved his hand, caught the pile of money, and weighed it in his hand. "Then, you don't need me to do anything, do you?" the devil asked. His voice was magnetic and deep, easily giving people a good impression. Before Gu Qing Shan could say anything, the devil had already noticed Lin. His eyes lit up. Then he saw Shano. "Tis TSK, both of you are my type." The devil smiled wickedly as he walked forward, then bowed deeply to Lin and Shanu. "Greetings, big sisters. Do you need any service?" The devil flashed a charming smile. "How much?" Lin chuckled and asked. "Not much, seeing how charming big sisters are. If you're using Strife Zone's coins, I can give you a discount. Actually, I'm very expensive, you know," the devil replied. "What kind of service do you have?" Shanu curiously asked. Gu Qing Shan couldn't hold it in anymore and knocked the devil unconscious with a swing of his sword. Before the devil fainted, he didn't forget to take the money from the devil's hand. Bam! The devil turned into a puff of white smoke and disappeared from this world. Shanna was a bit confused and asked, "That's a nice appearance. Why doesn't Gongzi use this guy? And also, what does he do?" Gu Qing Shan didn't answer and only glared at Lin. Lin looked at Shanu's confused expression and understood. TSK, a newbie sword is also a newbie. Lin thought for a bit and tried to fix it. "This devil specializes in massaging people's backs," Gu Qing Shan scowled. Lin added, "He charges a lot of money, and he often steals other people's personal belongings." Shanu immediately lost interest and said, "Evil creatures aren't good people." It was now that Gu Qing Shan calmed down a bit. About that, Shanu, come back and rest. You don't need to watch over Lin anymore," Gu Qing Shan said. "Yes," Shanna smiled. If Gongzi didn't want her to protect Lin, she would have been more willing to stay by Gongzi's side. Shanu turned into the Six Paths Great Mountain Sword and flew into Gu Qing Shan's thought sea. Lin and Gu Qing Shan exchanged glances. "Let's continue. I was only joking just now." In truth, after I asked that question, if that devil dared to say anything else, I was prepared to kill him with a single punch, Lin casually said. "But I still had to send him back," Gu Qing Shan replied. "Because I forgot that I was injured," Lin replied. Gu Qing Shan looked at her calm expression and helplessly said, "All right, let's continue." He put the coin back on the soul summoning pattern and began the summoning again. Chapter 983. After numerous summoning attempts, Gu Qing Shan finally chose an evil creature. This was a fear fiend with long red hair, a single horn on his head, and a similar appearance to a human. "What do you think of this one?" Gu Qing Shan asked. Lin glanced at it and replied, "Anything." Before the evil creature noticed, Gu Qing Shan pulled out a strand of hair from his head, knocked him unconscious, and sent him back. Of course, he still had to pay. Before the evil creature left, Gu Shan put a coin in his hand. After a bit of thought, he put another coin in his hand. A puff of white smoke. The evil creature disappeared. Gu Shan held the strand of hair and activated mystery of all beings equal. Very quickly, he turned into a red-haired, single-horned evil creature, wearing a pure, black silence cloak, which gave him a sense of mystery. Lin observed him. He's not very eye-catching, but you're still a bit eye-catching after turning into him. All right, that's it. I won't waste any more time, Gu Shan said. He piloted the airship, broke through the clouds, and headed towards the brightly lit, bustling shore below. Lin pointed in a certain direction. Look, that hotel should be quite nice. Let's go there, all right, 2 days later. Noon. After practicing his swordsmanship, Gu Shan leapt out of the ocean and flew back to the hotel. Although today's swordsmanship training was over, Gu Shan still had a lot of things to do. He stood on the balcony of the hotel, looking down at the light blue ocean, silently reciting the martial scripture that Lin gave him. It was truly miraculous. Every time he recited this scripture, a layer of understanding would suddenly open up in his heart. Whether it was the world or the strength of his body, he would have a better understanding of it. This was also a good thing for his swordsmanship. You're back. Lin's voice came from behind him. How do you feel today? Gu Shan asked. Today, one of my fingers regained 30% of its power. Lin raised her hand, showing off a nimble middle finger. Progress is too slow, Gu Shan commented. Lin handed him a piece of paper. Gu Shan took it and had a look. There were a lot of medicinal herbs written on it. I need these things to help my body recover a bit faster. There's a pharmacy on the left of the hotel where I can buy them, Lin said. Okay, I'll go buy it now. Gu Shan put away the list and said. Lin nodded and began to stretch her body on the balcony. With a calm expression, she made a starting gesture and began to practice. Because her body was seriously injured, her movements were very slow. Gu Shan looked at it for a while and sighed in admiration. Then she turned around and walked out of the room. Sir, are you going out? A beautiful maid came up and asked. Yes, Gu Shan replied. The 2C View luxury suites you booked will expire in half a day. If you want to renew the rooms, please look for me at any time. The maid said with a sweet smile. I'll renew it now. For one more day, Gu Shan said. He took out some coins and gave them to the maid. All right, I wish you a pleasant day. The maid counted the coins and nodded. Gu Shan walked out of the hotel and onto the street. He couldn't help but take out the small black bag of money and weighed it in his hand. Empty. Besides the coin that could turn into a fridge that he didn't want to spend, there was only the number 10 coin left. Gu Shan couldn't help but smile bitterly. Who knew staying in a hotel would cost so much? Speaking of which, Lin really does have good eyes. This hotel is the best in the entire world. Gu Shan released his inner sight and quickly found a pharmacy on the street. He walked straight to the entrance of the pharmacy and stopped, only to see the plaque on the door saying, Specialized in injuries from injuries. Since 19,000 years ago, quite an old pharmacy. A cat came out, crouched down in front of him, and asked, Sir, do you want to buy herbs, or do you need our help? I need a few herbs, Gu Shan handed it the list. The cat received Gu Shan's list, glanced at it, and exclaimed in admiration, Sir, are you using them for yourself? No, I'm buying them for a friend. Your friend is truly impressive. Many of the things on this list are rare and precious herbs. Hearing that, Gu Shan's heart skipped a beat. As he was about to say something, the cat had already bowed and said, Please come in. I'll help you get the herbs right away. The cat held the list in its mouth and left. A few dozen seconds later, the cat had helped Gu Shan gather all the herbs on the list. Please take a look, the cat said. Gu Shan released his inner sight to sense the herbs. These herbs contained a shocking amount of energy, so under Gu Shan's inner sight, they seemed to be burning. What's the price? Gu Shan asked. The cat gave a list of herbs and a price list to Gu Shan. Looking at the price list, Gu Shan silently sighed. Even if I sold myself, I wouldn't be able to afford the astronomical amount on the list. Thank you very much for helping me gather all the herbs in one go. Gu Shan smiled at the cat. It's my duty, the cat replied. Gu Shan thought for a bit, then took out the last number 10 coin. Here's your tip. The cat's eyes lit up. Receiving the coin, it solemnly bowed. A number 10 coin from the strife zones. This is quite valuable. You're too kind. Gu Shan then said, I have something to do right now, so I'll have to trouble you to pack these herbs for me first. I'll come back to take them when I return. Is that okay? Of course. But our shop closes at 5 p.m. Please remember to come back a bit earlier. Meow, the cat said. 5 p.m.? Very well. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Take care. Gu Shan left the pharmacy and wandered aimlessly on the street. It's currently 3 p.m. There's only 2 hours left until 5 p.m. There's not much time left. Lin really needs to get better as soon as possible. After all, no one knows when Magic Dragon will catch up to her. Although she's lost her abyssal form, Lin's own martial arts realm has already surpassed the level of a lord, not something any combatant of this era can compare to. Other than that, if I want to increase my card grade, I'll need to buy a few cards to consume. Yesterday, I went to a large auction house that connects to Infinite Worlds to check the prices of cards. Cards are definitely the most expensive type of card. Any one of them can buy an entire world. In the end, I still lack money. Gu Shan fell into thought. Where can I earn enough money? He released his inner sight and scanned the entire world. Entertainment, cultivation, trade, treasure auctions, the Bounty Hunter Guild, the Underground Casino, the World Chefs Alliance. Wait a minute, the World Chefs Alliance? Gu Shan focused his inner sight on this organization, then quickly moved it away. He sighed in disappointment. A top-notch chef requires top-notch ingredients in order to make delicious food that would drive living beings of Infinite Worlds crazy. Although this world was prosperous, it wasn't a large-scale culinary world. The chefs here weren't particularly high-leveled, nor did they have top-notch ingredients, so their income couldn't reach Gu Shan's expectations. Trade, I don't know how to do business. Cultivation, that's based on the results of my cultivation. The funding cycle is too long. Lin can't afford to wait that long, and I can't afford to pay for the rooms either. I'll just forget about the casino. The Bounty Hunter Guild. Wait a minute, Bounty? Gu Shan focused his inner sight on the Bounty Hunter Guild and carefully observed what was going on inside. He quickly found out that there were many different types of bounty hunters, each with a wide variety of jobs. If that's the case, I might as well. Gu Shan released his inner sight and scanned another building. This is good. Gu Shan nodded in satisfaction. His figure disappeared from the street and reappeared in front of a building several thousand miles away. This was the 900 million world layers Hitman Guild. Gu Shan wore the Silent Dust cloak over his head and slowly entered the Hitman Guild. The entire lobby of the Hitman Guild was silent. Apart from a few clerks, no one else was here. Greetings, esteemed fiend sir. May I ask what you are here for? A blue-skinned girl came to greet him. Why did an evil creature come to our place? Evil creatures have always had a bad reputation, and they like to tempt people into depravity. How troublesome. I'm here to register as an assassin, then earn my reward, Gu Shan replied. The girl replied, if you're here to earn money, I suggest you become a bounty hunter. After all, a lot of bounties are shared between us and the Hitman Guild. Gu Shan sincerely replied, bounty hunters are too troublesome. You need a team to register, while assassins only need to register by themselves. So I'm better off becoming an assassin. The girl rolled her eyes. This fiend is too strange. Who in the world would randomly choose their profession just because it's troublesome? However, the other party was wearing a black cloak, so I couldn't sense even a single bit of its presence, so I couldn't tell how strong or weak it was. If it's a great evil creature, fine, let's be careful. The girl had no choice but to be patient and tried asking. Esteemed fiend sir, the requirements to register as an assassin are quite high. The meaning behind her words was clear. Gu Shan asked, what are the requirements? The girl replied, you need to complete a designated assassination to become a beginner assassin. Gu Shan hesitantly said, but I have my own principles when it comes to killing. The girl happily replied. Then you can go to the Bounty Hunter Guild. Forget it. It's better for me to stay here. If I can't, I'll leave by myself, Gu Shan replied. The girl choked. A male voice suddenly resounded in her ears. You can't be careless against an evil creature. Bring him to the stone horse for appraisal. The girl turned to the counter. A burly man nodded. The girl brought Gu Qing-shan to the left side of the lobby, facing a stone horse statue. Sir, if you truly wish to become an assassin, you must explain your reasoning to the stone horse. Why? The girl replied. We also don't want anyone with ill intentions towards the Hitman Guild to join our organization. But please don't worry. We're not doing this to target the evil creature. This is a lie test. That's right. Basically, no one can hide from this stone horse, the girl pridefully replied. Gu Qing-shan stared at the stone horse and went silent. At this point, all the staff in the lobby looked over. If someone from an enemy guild wanted to infiltrate, they wouldn't be able to pass the stone horse's test. Or rather, this evil creature came with ill intentions towards the Hitman Guild. If that happened, they would all act together to take down this spy who tried to infiltrate the Hitman Guild. Gu Qing-shan noticed the change in the atmosphere. He shrugged and told the stone horse, I'm running out of money. I need it. The girl looked at him, then back at the stone horse statue. A moment of silence. The stone horse statue suddenly came to life. It slowly turned around and observed Gu Qing-shan. The stone horse replied, What a poor bastard. After saying this, it turned around and returned to its original state. The girl jumped forward and grabbed Gu Qing-shan's hand that was about to draw her sword, smiling apologetically. Sir, I'm sorry. It's just that it has a sharp tongue. Please don't mind it. I'm just telling the truth. And it's the same? Gu Qing-shan's expression turned sour. Ha. It's always like that. It's the same to us. Ha. The girl hurriedly said. Gu Qing-shan could only stop. The atmosphere in the lobby of the Hitman Guild slowly calmed down. But the Hitman Guild's members were looking at Gu Qing-shan curiously. Lacking money. Such a pure and honest reason. Really, it's been so many years since I've seen one. All right, I've passed the test, right? Gu Qing-shan asked. The girl looked at the counter for help. Bring him here, the robust man behind the counter said. He put down his cigar, took out a wanted poster from the cabinet, and slapped it on the table. Here, kill this guy, the robust man said. Gu Qing-shan received the wanted poster and took a look. The poster depicted a scaled snake with a man's head, holding a dagger in its mouth, currently hiding in the depths of the ocean. This was the Snake Man, a type of ferocious strange beast that must eat the prey it just killed every day, absorbing some sort of unique energy from its prey before they died to survive. For a normal world, the existence of such a life form was a threat to the ecosystem. Gu Qing-shan sighed in relief. He was willing to kill this thing. Do you have any information on this Snake Man? Where did he appear before? Gu Qing-shan asked. I don't. You'll have to rely on yourself for everything. Once you've completed your assassination, you'll receive a beginner hitman badge, the robust man shrugged. Beginner, Gu Qing-shan muttered. The robust man understood. If you're lacking money, and if you want to make money, you'll need to complete a lot of beginner missions. Then you'll be able to advance to intermediate and advanced, at which point, the targets you'll assassinate will be harder, and the rewards will be better. Got it, saying so. Gu Qing-shan released his inner sight. Under the cover of the silent dusk cloak, he released the entirety of his 3,000 worlds realm inner sight. The sky, the earth, the ocean, the people, the buildings, the underground. All living beings, all things. His vast inner sight scanned through the entire world. Gu Qing-shan's eyes suddenly glowed. Found you, he muttered. Immediately, a simple and unadorned long sword appeared in the void. The sword turned into a streak of light that flashed through the hall. Chapter 984. Gu Qing-shan was currently undergoing the recruitment test of the 900 million world layers Hitman Guild. At the same time, Lin was standing on the balcony of her hotel suite, slowly practicing her martial arts. Her movements were slow, light, and ethereal, but it didn't look like she was practicing martial arts, but more like she was performing a graceful dance. After a while, Lin's thumb twitched. Other than her middle finger, another finger had regained 20% of its power. The recovery was too slow. Lin shook her head. With my abyssal form, I don't need to go through so much trouble to use martial arts to heal my body. She then felt a bit emotional. It's been many years since I last practiced martial arts like this. The past feels like a distant day, but also like a dream. The people in that dream have already gone far away, and now I'm the only one left, struggling at death's door in this world that is slowly heading towards destruction. Seemingly thinking of something, the corner of her lips curled up, displaying an indescribable sense of sarcasm. How could there be eternity? If even the eternal abyss was destroyed, an abyssal infected like me wouldn't be able to escape the ultimate fate of death. The only way to survive, as well as my final wish in life, is to find that person and ask for an answer. And then, to avenge everyone. Lynn retracted her stance and stood still on the balcony. The warm sun shone down. The azure sea coast stretched as far as the eye could see, but her figure seemed a bit lonely and desolate. All of a sudden, a dark purple light appeared out of thin air and manifested into a pattern on the balcony. Reverse summoning formation. A certain figure walked out from the formation. Pale, slender arms, jet black hair, a sharp chin, and a pair of bewitching eyes. The overly beautiful male evil creature had appeared again. He looked at Lynn with a greedy look in his eyes. "Big sis, I'm so infatuated with you that I came uninvited. Please don't mind me." Big sis Lynn glanced at him, but said nothing. The evil creature tossed out a cluster of light and continued. "Tiska, your boyfriend left you here by yourself while he went off to have fun. How unfair." Lynn caught the cluster of light and lightly squeezed it. Instantly, a scene appeared in front of her eyes. Gu Shan was currently hugging a group of women in a luxurious place. "What are you trying to say?" Lynn looked at the projection and asked. The demon said, "Sister, this man is really fickle. Why do you want to hang yourself on a tree? Why don't you come with me to the world I'm in a play? I promise you'll have a great time." "I'm not going," Lynn said. The demon paused. His tone slowly changed. "Sister, don't be so inflexible. A beauty like you who is seriously injured is very popular in our place." "Why?" "Because your unwillingness and despair will be especially strong, which is the favorite taste of devils." The devil excitedly licked his lips. Lynn sighed and said, "This is why people hate demons." She raised her hand, pressed her middle finger against her thumb, and flicked it in the air. Pa! Dozens of meters away, the demon's body suddenly exploded and scattered into a mass of minced meat. Lynn took out a bell, shook it, and bit it. The hotel waitress suddenly appeared. "Esteemed guest, what can I do for you?" She bowed deeply and looked at Lynn with a gaze full of admiration. The hotel had its own protective measures, but if the guest wanted to deal with it themselves, the hotel wouldn't interfere. This was to avoid disturbing the guest's mood. Lynn nodded to the waitress. "My apologies, I've made this place a bit dirty. Please clean it up a bit." "Very well. I'll do as you say," the waitress replied. The 900 million world layers Hitman Guild. As soon as the flying sword left, the robust man took out a cigar from the counter and gave it to Gu Shan. His gaze was sharp, already noticing that she wasn't as simple as she seemed. "It seems you're a demon artifact wielder?" The robust man asked with interest. "Only a few professions like sword cultivator, spirit weapon gladiator, demon artifact stealth killer could be used to control weapons so easily. Among them, sword cultivator was a human profession, and an extremely rare one at that. Spirit weapon gladiator was a profession exclusive to the astrals. Only demon artifact stealth killer belonged to the evil creatures. All of these were powerful professions, and all of them were very suitable to be an assassin. "Yes, I'm a demon artifact stealth killer." Gu Shan didn't deny it. Using the robust man's fire, he lit the cigar. The robust man's eyebrows loosened. A powerful hitman-type evil creature was a good thing for the organization. Not to mention, he was able to pass the Stone Horse's test, so he was willing to join the guild for money. It wasn't that he didn't want to join the Bounty Hunter Guild because he was afraid of trouble. In the end, it was because he didn't want to share the money with others. This was an evil creature that only pursued money. Relatively speaking, he could already be considered clean. Gu Shan looked at the robust man and asked, "Then, do I need to bring his body back?" "A part of it is fine," the robust man replied. "Is an ear fine?" Yes, 1 breath. 2 breaths. Bam! A bloody object fell on the counter, right onto the wanted poster, and dyed it bright red. It was an ear. The robust man took the ear and gave it to a black-clothed man behind him. The man looked at it and said, "There's no mistake. This is the snake man's ear." Everyone turned to Gu Shan. Behind Gu Shan, a sword had just returned and was silently disappearing. In less than 10 breaths worth of time, he killed the snake man. Seems like he's quite the expert. The robust man took out a badge and put it on the table. "Welcome, new hitman," he smiled and said. Gu Shan received the badge and looked outside the lobby. It was getting late. Kitty's medicine shop will close at 5 p.m. I need to hurry. Gu Shan went silent briefly before putting the badge back on the table. "What do you mean?" the robust man asked. "At my level, what kind of targets can I kill?" "Please give me a list," Gu Shan said. "You want to—" the robust man hesitantly asked. "Earn money," Gu Shan answered without hesitation. The robust man smiled knowingly. For the guild, money has always been a small issue. To be able to use money to exchange for the services of a powerful evil creature, no matter how you look at it, it's a guaranteed profit. He signaled to the girl with his eyes. "Please wait a moment." The girl walked behind the counter and took out a thick folder from a drawer. The robust man ordered, "Take out all the targets of this world and let our evil creature brother choose carefully." The girl answered, then picked out a stack of wanted posters from the folder and put them in front of Gu Shan. The robust man explained, "These are all commissions from this world, as well as those that happen to be in this world. Thank you." Gu Shan counted. A total of 791 wanted posters from this world. He scanned through them with his inner sight, carefully read through them, then picked out 85 wanted posters and put them aside. "You're planning to kill so many targets?" The robust man was surprised. "No, these people are related to our race, so I won't kill them," Gu Shan replied. The 85 targets weren't actually evil people. Gu Shan's inner sight had already noticed one of them doing good deeds. "Then what are you—" "I'll take the other 706 wanted posters. You know, I'm in need of money," Gu Shan said. The robust man was stunned. The girl was stunned. In front of them, 4 flying swords appeared from the void of space behind the evil creature. The 4 differently shaped flying swords let out a woo-woo sound as they tore through the void of space and disappeared without a trace. Chapter 985. The smell of medicine filled the air. Lin picked up the bowl of medicine and gulped it down in one gulp. "That must have cost quite a bit." She put the bowl down and asked. "It's nothing. Don't worry about the money," Gu Shan casually replied. Looking at him, Lin recalled the ball of light that the evil creature gave her. It showed the scene of Gu Shan embracing beauties on both sides. This guy, is he really that dishonest? Most things given by evil creatures are questionable. But then, you're back so late, it seems you went somewhere else besides the pharmacy? Lin looked down at the bowl of medicine and casually asked. When Gu Shan was about to say something to brush her off, he suddenly sensed some sort of danger. After a moment of silence, he placed a badge on the table. It was a rough metal medallion. A primary level hitman? How boring. Lin scoffed, but her tone became a bit more relaxed. She rolled her eyes and slowly understood what Gu Shan was up to. Not bad. You're starting to look like a man now. Lin patted Gu Shan's shoulder and was about to leave. When can you fully recover? Gu Shan asked from behind. What is it? About that pixie's bounty. I think we should wait until you're fully recovered before we try to open it again. You're right. Who knows what they put in there? Let's wait a bit longer. I need to find some better medicine to speed up my recovery. Saying so, Lin left, leaving Gu Shan alone on the balcony. He carefully sensed himself. Some sort of indescribable disaster seems to have passed. How strange. Fine, since I'm fine now, what's the point of thinking about it? Gu Shan sensed something and looked up. A seabird flew over and landed on the table. Sir, as you requested, the list of auctions for the next half-month is here, the seabird said. Thank you. Gu Shan generously took out 3 coins and tossed them to the seabird. The seabird took the coins, flapped its wings, and flew away. Gu Shan casually flipped through it. He saw a few cards, as well as the starting price marked below the cards. Not bad. His money was almost enough to cover the starting price of a card. Gu Shan mocked herself. He thought for a moment, then took out 3 wanted posters from his pocket. Assassinating targets for a beginner assassin were nothing. After completing hundreds of assassinations, he had already earned the chance to become an intermediate assassin. After killing the 3 people on the wanted list, Gu Shan could become a mid-level assassin and receive more lucrative missions. On these 3 wanted posters were the leaders of 3 interstellar criminal organizations. They were in charge of human trafficking, gambling, and the arms trade. Gu Shan pouted, releasing her inner sight to scan this world. Soon, he discovered the 3 of them. The strange thing was that the boss of these 3 criminal teams was in the same place. Gu Shan observed the 3 of them in surprise. This was the scene of an underground banquet. The 3 leaders of the criminal organizations were sitting together, calling each other brothers, drinking and chatting merrily. Now that's interesting. They were secretly drooling over the other party's business, so they put up a bounty in the Hitman Guild, requesting for an assassin to kill them. The Hitman Guild also went all out, giving the 3 wanted posters to Gu Shan, asking him to complete 3 assassinations. We take money to do this, but we also pay attention to efficiency, so we hope that you can get rid of everything at once. These were the exact words of the Hitman Guild manager. Gu Shan thought for a bit, then moved his mind. An autumn water, clear blue, sword silently appeared in the air. The 6 paths, great mountain sword. Am I going alone this time, Gongzi? Shanu asked. Yes, Luo Bingley is currently sleeping, so she can't exert the Heaven Sword's power. The Earth Sword is too ruthless, and the Chowing Sword has gone off to play again. Only you know how to act appropriately and can break laws, so this type of assassination should be a bit easier, Gu Shan told her. The 6 paths great mountain sword didn't say anything else. It lightly shook its body and shot straight into the sky. He seemed to be very happy. A few moments later, a man who looked like a delivery man was riding a bicycle towards them from the other side of the sky. Your delivery from the Hitman Guild. Please sign here. Ah, yes. Gu Shan received the box and signed a receipt. The man rode away on his bike. While sighing in admiration at the convenience of this world, Gu Shan opened the box, only to see a smaller box inside a larger box, and an even smaller box inside a smaller box. Finally, it was a delicate black box. A silver badge silently sat inside, with a note next to it, frowny face, congratulations. You've become an intermediate level hitman. Please come to the guild tomorrow morning to receive your badge. Gu Shan put the silver badge away. Compared to this badge, he was actually more interested in receiving higher level assassination missions. Gu Shan stretched his back and returned to his room. An uneventful night. The next day, the Hitman Guild. When Gu Shan came in, he found that the entire guild was empty. Only the girl was waiting for him in front of the counter. As soon as the girl saw him, she pressed a button on the counter. The Hitman Guild's door was closed. You're here. Please follow me this way, the girl said with a heavy heart. Why isn't anyone here? Why is the door already closed? Gu Shan asked in confusion. Everyone was transferred away in the middle of the night. The deacon told me to stay here and handle the relevant matters for you, the girl replied. She led Gu Shan inside. Gu Shan didn't ask too much. After all, a lot of an hitman's operations couldn't be exposed, and some things needed to be kept secret. The girl led Gu Shan to a secret room and began to help Gu Shan register. As an intermediate-level hitman, you can receive a fixed amount of remuneration every month. You will have the authority to call for rescue once in many worlds. You will have a private room in the guild. Gu Shan looked at the bag of money in her hand, weighed it with her hand, and smiled. I didn't think there would be so many benefits, the girl continued. There's more. Your Excellency, you can now choose a nickname for yourself. A nickname? Indeed. As an hitman, no one is willing to let others know of their true identity and name. I believe that as an evil creature, you would also feel the same. Gu Shan was a bit surprised, then quickly replied, Ah, that's right, we don't tell anyone our real names. That would bring a lot of trouble, the girl continued. Then, Please choose a nickname for yourself. That way it would be easier for everyone to call you. Gu Qingshan thought for a bit and felt a bit of a headache. I'm really not good at this kind of thing. It's fine if you can't think of one right now. Seeing that, the girl smiled. Once you've thought of one, you can use the badge to contact me at any time. I'll help you register. She had Gu Qingshan take out the Hitman badge and taught Gu Qingshan how to use it to contact people from the guild. Thank you for today. After I've thought of my nickname, I'll use this badge to contact you, Gu Qingshan said. Very well. On the other hand, these are the missions that an intermediate-level hitman can accept. Please take a look when you return. The girl handed a folder to Gu Qingshan. The two of them chatted as they left the secret room. The girl suddenly remembered something she forgot. Do you have some time right now? I'll take you to choose a room, the girl said. When Gu Qingshan was about to refuse, she suddenly thought of something else. If I stay here, I'll be able to save quite a bit of money. Very well. Please take me there, Gu Qingshan said. The two of them headed deeper into the Hitman Guild. They entered an even more spacious lobby. This is the public resting area. Hitmen can meet and discuss important matters here, the girl explained. She waved her hand and continued. Please follow me. The resting area is further inside. Gu Qingshan looked around. Then her gaze fell onto a wanted poster. The wanted poster was pinned to the middle of the board with a dagger, depicting a masculine man wearing a black trench coat and black fingerless gloves. The man had an extraordinary presence. His eyes were cold and emotionless, one hand holding a black handgun, the other holding a card. Gu Qingshan's gaze fell on the wanted poster for a bit, then moved away as if nothing happened. He followed the girl to look at several rooms, and finally chose one of them. The girl gave him the key to the room and helped him register. The two of them returned and once again passed the public resting area. At this point, Gu Qingshan casually pointed at the wanted poster and smiled. What's with that wanted poster? And why is it pinned to the middle of the board? Is the target really valuable? The girl followed his gaze and saw the wanted poster. She sighed and replied, This target really is valuable. I heard that he escaped from the strife zones and disappeared without a trace. It was only yesterday that we received a report saying that he had appeared in a nearby world. So the deacons immediately went to hunt him down. Is he really strong? Gu Qingshan maintained her smile and asked. He's a true hitman, the girl replied with a bit of respect. If he's a hitman, why didn't we recruit him into our organization? Gu Qingshan asked in confusion. Because he's a madman who wants to slay a god, the girl replied. Slay a god? That's right, I heard that one of his friends was killed by a god. So he's been looking for a chance to avenge his friend in the strife zones, the girl replied. He's got guts, Gu Qingshan praised. The girl continued. Later on, the gods sent down a divine prophecy, saying that the blasphemer Gu Qingshan wasn't dead and had escaped from the seal. It was also from that point on that people slowly found out that this person's friend was the blasphemer Gu Qingshan. Everyone knows that the gods want to kill Gu Qingshan. But what does that have to do with us killing this person? Gu Qingshan pointed at the man on the wanted poster and asked. The gods also want this person's life. The reward is very generous, so almost everyone is looking for this person and the blasphemer Gu Qingshan, the girl replied. Hearing that, Gu Qingshan went silent for a brief moment. Let's not talk about this person. I suddenly remembered a code name that suits me, he suddenly said. Tell me, I'll register for you. The girl took out a notebook and said, My code name is Yi Fei Li Yi Fei Li? Very well, I've recorded it. Chapter 986. Lin stood on the balcony of the hotel, looking up at the sky. Ever since this morning, a number of spaceships had taken to the sky and left this world. Just now, a combatant had taken to the sky and kicked the sky open, revealing the images of over 50 worlds in the void of space. The combatant identified them briefly before flying towards one of the worlds. As time passed, more and more large spaceships took to the sky, and the number of combatants who broke through the void of space also increased, as if something extraordinary had happened. After watching for a while, Lin looked away and began her morning exercise. At this point, Gu Qingshan also returned. I might need to go out for a bit, Gu Qingshan told her. Lin slowly performed a set of punches and asked without turning around. Where are you going? A friend seems to be in a nearby world. I need to find him, Gu Qing-shan replied. A very good friend? Is it Zhang Young-ho or Yi Fei-li? Gu Qing-shan suddenly recalled that she had once read his mind. Zhang Young-ho. He explained the situation to her. Lin silently listened and muttered. So that's what it was. He's being surrounded? At this point, another combatant took to the sky, opened several hundred worlds with a single punch, entered them, and disappeared without a trace. So many people are leaving, most likely for the divinity's reward. Gu Qing-shan looked up at the scene in the sky and commented. Lin scoffed. Divinity? It's just the abyssal magic dragon. It's the mastermind behind everything. After performing a set of punches, she retracted her stance and turned around. I'll come with you, Gu Qing-shan hesitantly said. The situation will probably be quite dangerous. I'm afraid that I won't be able to protect you. Lin thought for a bit, raised her left hand, and casually moved it. Let's go together, she decided. While she was talking, the air around her began to howl with a heavy sound of wind. A terrifying power. Are you recovering well? Gu Qing-shan asked. Thanks to the herbs from yesterday, my hands have recovered 30% of their power. It won't be a problem for me to fight against enemies like overlords, and I have a chance of winning against demigods with special abilities, Lin said. All right, let's go together, said Gu Qing-shan straightforwardly. The two of them cleaned up, checked out, and walked out of the hotel. You're not going directly? Lin asked. There's no rush. Let's understand the situation first. Gu Qing-shan said. Lin asked in confusion. With so many people surrounding him, aren't you afraid that he'll be killed? If he could be killed, he would have died a long time ago. Gu Qing-shan said calmly. He brought Lin into a bar and sat down at the bar. Welcome to the night bar. What would you like to drink? Asked the bartender. I want warm milk, Lin said. The bartender looked at her strangely. Gu Qing-shan sent her voice. This is a well-known place in the 900 million world layers that specializes in selling information. They only sell information. Apart from that, they only provide a bit of alcohol at most, but they don't have breakfast. No wonder they're still open this morning, Lin nodded, then told the bartender. Besides warm milk, I also want your best breakfast. The bartender rubbed his chin. You're here to cause trouble, aren't you? No, I'm really hungry, Lin replied. The bartender's eyes narrowed. Seeing that, Gu Qing-shan had no choice but to reach out a finger and unleash a sharp strand of sword chi. The sword chi spread throughout the entire bar, cutting off a strand of hair from each person. Everyone was horrified. There were quite a few combatants here, some of whom were just a hair's breadth away from becoming overlords. But none of them managed to react in time. In other words, if the other party wanted to, he could cut off everyone's head at any time. This was a lord. He was a true combatant. The bartender immediately showed a respectful expression and said to a waiter, Go, prepare a sumptuous breakfast for this lady. Understood, I'll go right away. The waiter's figure disappeared, flew out of the bar, and disappeared without a trace. The bartender clasped his hands together and slightly bowed. Madam, please wait a moment. I guarantee that you'll enjoy the most perfect breakfast in the entire seaside world. Thank you. Lin glanced at Gu Qing-shan. Gu Qing-shan cleared her throat and said, All right, let's get down to business. He put a bag of money on the counter. I know that you're quite famous within the 900 million world layers, so I want to buy some information. What kind of information do you want? Information about the encirclement. Other than that, any other important information, please give me a copy of that as well. The bartender took the bag of money, opened it, and smiled after taking a look. Although the other party was a combatant, he was a combatant who abided by the rules of the industry. This kind of person wouldn't casually renege on a debt just because they're strong, nor would they use coercion to obtain information from me. This kind of combatant was a true VIP customer, worthy of providing excellent service to. The encirclement is very close to where we are. Please wait a moment. I need to make some arrangements. Would you like something to drink first? The bartender asked. I'll have a glass of your strongest liquor, Gu Qing-shan replied. Very well. The bartender poured a glass of liquor for Gu Qing-shan, took the bag of money, and temporarily left the bar. Gu Qing-shan took a sip and muttered. Very close. He was a bit cautious. At this point, the waiter returned. He put a large tray in front of Lin. then served her a glass of warm milk. "I've kept you waiting," the waiter bowed and said. "It's fine." Lin glanced at Gu Qing-shan. Gu Qing-shan tipped the waiter. Lin then picked up the utensils and began to eat. She ate very slowly, occasionally taking a sip of milk. "You're not eating breakfast? Eating on an empty stomach will affect your body's blood flow, and you won't have enough nutrients," she asked Gu Qing-shan. Gu Qing-shan raised her glass, gesturing that this was enough for her. A few moments later, the bartender returned to his position behind the bar. He placed a palm-sized iron rooster statue on top of the bar and pushed it to Gu Qing-shan. "This is... all the information regarding this encirclement is here. As long as you ask, it will tell you," the bartender continued. "Other than that, it will provide you with a piece of information every month." "Very well. Thank you." Gu Qing-shan lightly stroked the iron rooster statue, then suddenly noticed something. Lines of glowing text appeared on the war god UI, frowny face information source. Chirping rooster. Low. This item will automatically obtain information from the intelligence network spread throughout the void for your reference, once per month. Description. Although is the lowest level of information source, it still possesses the characteristics of an information source. Gu Qing-shan looked at the iron rooster statue and said nothing. No wonder the Nightshade Bar was able to do so well in the 900 million world layers in terms of selling information. So they actually have this kind of information processing capability. At this point, a few more lines of glowing text appeared on the war god UI. Frowny face. This item has fulfilled the war god system's minimum requirement. Another line of glowing text appeared in front of his retina. Frowny face. The Doomsday Chronicles has completed its evolution. Back in the age of old, the Doomsday Chronicles had already begun its evolution. Who would have thought that it would finally complete its evolution today? The icon representing the Doomsday Chronicles on the war god UI slowly disappeared. In its place was a scroll-like icon. Personal information function has been activated. You can now attach your personal information function to an item specifically used to transmit information. From this, all the information you receive will be related to you. Gu Qing-shan held the iron rooster statue in her hand and pondered. "Do you have a better type of information transmission item?" he asked the bartender. The bartender looked at him in surprise and replied, "We do, but it's more expensive. Do you accept items that aren't currency? As long as it's of sufficient value. What would you like to sell?" "I also have some information that I can sell, of course. Please come with me." The bartender's attitude became even better. The secret to Lord would surely be of considerable value, so of course they were willing to do business with him. Gu Qing-shan glanced at Lin. "Let's go together." Lin took the tray and followed Gu Qing-shan to the back of the bar. Half an hour later, after Gu Qing-shan sold the information about the magic dragon, he also sold the information about the pixie's death. In front of him, the bartender had already left. The one responsible for receiving information was the boss of this place. After confirming the authenticity of the information through a certain method, the boss took away Gu Qing-shan's iron rooster statue. "The information you've obtained far exceeds our estimations. It's extremely valuable, as well as directly related to the future of the 900 million world layers. So you've earned the right to receive our highest grade information source," the boss solemnly declared. "Thank you," Gu Qing-shan replied. "But there's still one problem. The highest grade information source can only be obtained by our members. What are the duties of a member?" Gu Qing-shan asked. "For someone of your level, you only need to exchange information with us and guarantee the authenticity of the information you receive." The boss rubbed his hands and replied. Gu Qing-shan happily replied, "No problem." The boss smiled and put a colorful rooster statue in front of Gu Qing-shan. "Every day it will provide you with an important piece of news from the 900 million world layers. I also want to know about the upcoming encirclement." Here it is. The boss took out a dossier and put it in front of Gu Qing-shan. "We've just received a new piece of information. That world has entered a lockdown state, only allowing entry but not exit to prevent that person from escaping," the boss said. "Are the other pieces of information in the dossier?" "Yes. I won't disturb you any further." The boss nodded to Gu Qing-shan and Lin, then left the secret room. He closed the door behind him. Gu Qing-shan didn't look at the dossier first. instead placing his hand on the colorful rooster statue. A line of glowing text appeared on the war god. UI, frowny face, are you willing to attach your personal information function to this high-grade information source? Gu Qing Shan silently muttered. Yes, the sound of a rooster crowing resounded in his mind. Current attachment complete. From today onwards, you will receive a piece of information related to yourself every day. Every time this function is activated, you will need to pay 100 soul points. Reading the last line of text, Gu Qing Shan silently confirmed. Chapter 987. The Fire Mountain World. Solidified grayish-black rocks covered the ground. Lava flowed everywhere. Occasionally, smoke would rise to the sky following the eruption of volcanoes, shrouding the land. This was a world full of volcanoes, all of which were in a state of eruption at any moment, which was how this world got its name. Normally, no one would be willing to come to a world with such a harsh environment. But now, every few breaths worth of time, the sky of this world would split open, followed by powerful presences descending from above. More and more people were coming to this world, all of them powerful professionists. The 7 holy churches once issued a divine oracle, declaring that whoever catches the blasphemer Gu Qing Shan will be granted the right to ascend to godhood. Other than that, there was another, the blasphemer's friend, a hitman called Zhang Yongho, was also on the wanted list of the 7 holy churches. Anyone who killed him would be rewarded by the 7 holy churches, granting them power and wealth that transcended the mortal realm. Everyone in the 900 million world layers was madly searching for Gu Qing Shan, but Gu Qing Shan still hadn't shown up. Since this person managed to escape the judgment of the gods, he must have his own unique abilities, making it impossible to find him so easily. Otherwise, the divine oracle wouldn't have mentioned ascension to godhood. After a while, everyone still couldn't find anything. So everyone turned their attention to Zhang Yongho. Compared to Gu Qing Shan, this person's whereabouts weren't completely impossible to find. More and more people were chasing after Zhang Yongho. And now, Zhang Yongho's whereabouts have finally been exposed. He's in a Fire Mountain world. Everyone went crazy. As long as they can kill him, they'll receive unprecedented rewards from the 7 holy churches. Combatants from all walks of life rushed to this world and began a thorough search. At this moment, in a certain shadow canyon in this world, a holy church had just been constructed. Clergymen from the 7 holy churches knelt at the foot of the statue and began to report to their god. By the gods above, we report to you. After the news was released, more and more people came to this world, reaching its peak about 9 hours ago. More and more combatants are coming as time passed. The number of professionists that came to the Fire Mountain world had decreased in the last half an hour. I'm afraid most of the people who can come are already here. After they finished reporting, they quietly waited for further instructions from the gods. Several breaths later, suddenly, a gray light appeared on the statue. This was a miracle, which meant that the gods had responded to the report. The clergy crouched even lower. They didn't even dare to raise their heads. According to the teachings of the 7 demon gods, looking directly at the gods was a serious blasphemy. Suddenly, a rumbling voice resounded in the temple. In other words, those who are closer have already arrived? One of the clergymen replied, Yes, Supreme God. Just as you said, there are only a few who are still descending upon this world. The voice did not ring out for a long time. But the gray light was still there, which meant that the god had not left. The clergyman remained motionless, kneeling on the ground until the voice rang out again. This time, I spent a lot of effort to seal off the entire world. I don't think that guy will be able to escape. It muttered to itself. The god race? What did God mean by the divine race? The clergymen of the various holy churches doubtfully thought. A few moments later, the rumbling voice resounded again. You have done well. I am very pleased. The clergymen quickly let go of their thoughts and loudly declared in unison. For the sake of God, we are willing to offer our lives and everything else. These were words used to express their loyalty. However, the god then said something else that stunned everyone. Those who should have come have already arrived in this world. The time is almost up, so you are no longer useful. Now, offer your lives, the voice sighed and continued. You have indeed done a good job, but that guy always likes to take on other people's appearances and is full of cunning. I can't trust anyone in this world. Before the clergyman could think too much, they felt a sharp pain as the entire world was plunged into eternal darkness. The Holy Church was deathly silent. Everyone died at the same time. Only the howling wind from the canyon could be heard passing through the Holy Church. A while later, 3 figures appeared in the Holy Church. The abyssal magic dragon. Standing next to him were 2 people with a burning flame between their eyebrows. The divine race. After the Earth Creator died, the abyssal magic dragon found the divine race soul artifacts that Gu Shan created and subdued them after they awakened their self-awareness. Gu Shan definitely didn't realize that the weapon she used to fight against the magic dragon and the soul shrieker had already become the abyssal magic dragon's subordinates. The abyssal magic dragon silently sensed the various fluctuations of battle in this world and took a deep breath. I can smell the scent of death. Today, right here, death shall bloom according to my will. The 2 divinities knelt on one knee and respectfully said, God Lord, please give your orders. The magic dragon said, Go, take your subordinates and seal this entire world. Only allow entry, not exit. One of the divinities said, If we run into that person, the magic dragon said, Kill him. He isn't a match for you right now, yes. The 2 divinities accepted their orders and left. The abyssal magic dragon stood alone in the divine temple. He waited for a while longer. It wasn't until there weren't any more descenders or airships in the sky that he began to act. His entire body began to expand, turning into a sturdy gray dragon hide. In just 1 breath's worth of time, his body had expanded to the size of the divine temple. In 2 breaths worth of time, the magic dragon's body had grown to the size of a volcano. In 3 breaths worth of time, the magic dragon's body gave off a grayish-white flame. His gigantic body had already surpassed the entire river. He appeared on the surface of this world, taking up an area of several hundred kilometers. The abyssal magic dragon stretched his body a bit, then abruptly flew up into the sky. He stared at the vast land below, as well as the fearful combatants. Combatants? Huh. The abyssal magic dragon smirked ferociously. Gu Shan, no matter who you turn into, no matter where you hide, as long as you receive the news and come to save that person, you will not escape. I will kill every living being in this world, and you will definitely be one of them. I'd like to see just how you're going to hide. The magic dragon roared and breathed out a cluster of gray flames from his mouth. Boom! The gray flames pierced through the ground, causing lava to erupt from deep underground. The world began to tremble and collapse. Let's rewind time a bit. 2 hours ago, the seaside world's nightshade bar. In the secret room of the bar, Gu Shan put the colorful rooster statue away. This thing had been granted information by the war god Ui, so it would give her a piece of information every day. But Gu Shan didn't check the information right away. Since I've already obtained this thing, there's no need to be in a hurry. He began to read Zhang Youngho's dossier. After all, I'm about to save Zhang Youngho, so I have to plan it out in detail. The dossier recorded Zhang Youngho's combat characteristics, his previous pursuits and counter-pursuits, his route of action, the divinity's bounty, the situation of the Fire Mountain world. Everything was written in great detail. Gu Shan seriously read through it for a while before closing the dossier. Are we leaving? Lin asked. Yes, Gu Shan nodded. The 2 of them left the secret room, the bar, and returned to the main street. After following Gu Shan for a while, Lin noticed that something wasn't right. Gu Shan, why are you heading towards the hotel again? She asked. To book a room, Gu Shan casually replied. I said I wanted to come with you to save him, Lin calmly replied. We're not going. We're returning to the hotel. Did you give up on him because the rescue mission was too difficult? That's not it. Gu Shan sent her voice. I've checked the map of the infinite worlds. That place isn't too far away from the Gemini star. And it's also very close to where we are. So we're not going. Lin was surprised and couldn't help but ask. You suspected a trap? just because of that. Gu Shan replied, "Of course there are other reasons as well. For example, not long after we separated from Magic Dragon, this shocking incident happened here." He showed a contemplative smile. "Don't you think it's a coincidence?" "There are a lot of coincidences in this world," Lin replied. Gu Shan replied, "When it comes to murder, any coincidences are nothing more than clumsy arrangements that would only make a veteran laugh." Lin was confused. "So you're not going because it's too close and too coincidental?" "There are a lot of reasons. For example, the bar owner just said that the other world can only be entered, not exited. That's only natural. Otherwise, who would be able to catch him?" Lin continued. "But there aren't a lot of organizations that have the ability to seal off that world and forbid everyone from leaving," Gu Shan replied. Lin was a bit surprised. "That's right. Only a gigantic organization like the Holy Church has the ability to seal off space and force everyone to stay. The other organizations with authority basically wouldn't do such a thing because they don't have the support of a terrifying entity like the Abyssal Magic Dragon. The 7 holy churches currently belong to the Magic Dragon." After a moment of silence, Lin couldn't help but ask, "Then, you're not going to save Zhang Yongho?" Gu Shan slowly replied, "Other than walking into a trap, I have many other ways to find him." He strode in the direction of the hotel. Lin watched his back with a complicated expression. "How sly," she muttered and chased after him. Chapter 988. The Seaside World. The Hotel. Gu Shan had arranged several dozen formations in her room. Earlier, she wanted to follow the Earth Creator's route to see what kind of preparations this big shot had left behind. But now, Lin's wounds were slowly healing. The Abyssal Magic Dragon was in hot pursuit. Zhang Yongho was nowhere to be found, his whereabouts unknown. It's time to change tactics. First, I need to obtain some information. Gu Shan took out the colorful rooster with a serious expression. Lin looked at his expression, then at the colorful rooster and said, "Your expression doesn't match this thing. This thing is very useful," Gu Shan helplessly replied. The War God's information function was infused into the colorful rooster, ensuring that the colorful rooster would always reveal information related to Gu Shan. But since this was related to the War God UI, it couldn't be casually revealed. Gu Shan put her hand on the rooster's head and pulled on its comb. The rooster abruptly came to life and flapped its wings a few times. It raised its hoarse voice and shouted, "Oh, Pei, you scared me." Gu Shan said, "My apologies. I need today's information." The rooster spread one of its wings and raised its head. "I need a bit of soul points to use." "You need soul points?" Gu Shan asked in surprise. The rooster answered without any hesitation. "Of course, in this current world, the apocalypse is coming soon. Who would still provide free services?" Gu Shan facepalmed. Originally, this thing didn't need any soul points. The War God UI's buff was truly extraordinary. It directly changed this thing's way of doing things. "You still dare to negotiate terms?" Lin commented. She moved her fingers, making a crackling sound. A terrifying aura began to radiate from her body. The big rooster looked at Lin in shock and muttered, "That's above Lord class." He jumped on a Gu Shan's shoulder and shouted, "What are you trying to do? You think you can beat people up just because you're beautiful? So what if I am?" Lin tilted her head and looked at it. The rooster angrily spoke. "I'll tell you clearly, a heroic figure like you, a peerless beauty, a respected expert, a peerless woman, if you dare to attack me, I will not retaliate." "Lin, Gu Shan, all right, how much soul points do you want?" Gu Shan asked. He glanced at the War God UI. "After returning from the Age of Old, I haven't used much soul points, so I still have quite a bit left." The rooster observed his expression and spoke. "I want 40, no, 45 soul points." Gu Shan secretly heaved a sigh of relief. But this rooster was too strange, and he didn't want to lose the big picture because of small gain. Thus, Gu Shan revealed a troubled expression. So much soul points for a single piece of information. The rooster spoke with a serious expression. Gathering information is a very difficult task. You need to understand this. What a sky-high price deal, Gu Qingshan replied. He put his hand on the rooster's wing and transferred 45 soul points to it. Being nourished by the soul points, the rooster's entire body became spirited. Sure enough, this is pure origin power of the soul. It makes my feathers feel so comfortable, the rooster happily muttered. Then, please tell me today's news, Gu Qingshan said. Wait a moment. The rooster closed its eyes, seemingly sensing something. It suddenly spoke up. The fear and panic of the eternal abyss is sweeping towards the 900 million world layers. You must quickly make a decision regarding the direction you want to move forward, because the 900 million world layers is about to be split apart by the flood of the abyss. After saying that, the rooster turned back into a statue and stopped moving. It would probably be tomorrow before it could be activated again. Hearing that, Gu Qingshan exchanged glances with Lin. He suddenly recalled the last words the Earth Creator had left for him. Finally, if all of this truly happens, it would mean that the fate of countless living beings has already been decided. The war between the abyss and the infinite races is about to begin. A storm is about to descend. You must prepare yourself. Gu Qingshan abruptly stood up. No, something terrible must be happening in the eternal abyss. What could it be that would force the eternal abyss to corrode the 900 million world layers? He muttered in a low voice. Lin thought for a bit, then replied, It might be related to the reality gate. I remember that the last time I left the abyss, the apocalyptic calamity around the reality gate was showing signs of spreading. Lin continued. There are quite a few powerful entities within the abyss that even I find terrifying. If even they are in a state of panic, then the situation might truly be very troublesome. Gu Qingshan fell silent. At the time, the Fairy of Time once said, that parallel world was extremely powerful, intensely fighting against the apocalyptic calamity, breaking away from the definition of parallel and falling into our eternal abyss, right next to the reality gate. As soon as the living beings of our world get close to the reality gate, their fate would be completely assimilated and corroded. Seeing how silent he was, Lin couldn't help but ask, What do you think about this? Gu Qingshan quickly analyzed the situation and muttered, I believe that the corrosion is currently sweeping across the entire eternal abyss. Indeed, it came from a powerful parallel world that was currently fighting against the apocalypse. The fate it contained was currently corroding the eternal abyss. It was an irresistible death. Even the Earth Creator had died under the corrosion of fate. This was the only way for the powerful monsters within the eternal abyss to escape and seek refuge in the 900 million world layers. Gu Qingshan's heart slowly sank. A mere avatar of the soul Shrieker had already broken through the 900 million world layers and was still fighting against the Demon King Order in the Fallen Zones. What if its main body arrives? What if a monster even more terrifying than it arrives? No, I need to change my strategy right now. Gu Qingshan spoke with a serious tone. I need to gather a few companions right now. I hope you won't kill them just because they offended me a little. Lin scoffed and replied, I'm not an unreasonable person, as long as they don't bother me. Gu Qingshan tried to persuade her further. Please be patient. If someone comes to help me, I'll quickly finish what I need to do. Once your ring returns, I'll be able to go with you to the reality gate. Lin thought for a bit, then replied, All right, as long as they don't try to bully me while I'm injured. Gu Qingshan sincerely replied, Don't worry, they're all decent people. Saying so, he tapped his inventory bag and took out a piece of black cloth. This black cloth used to be a piece of newspaper that Meow casually gave him. But Meow naturally had her own reasons for doing things. Gu Qingshan once used this piece of black cloth to find the heavily wounded Yunji. Indeed, this was the Blade Edge Pledge's secret black cloth. The Blade Edge Pledge was a secret organization of Yunji's group. Bali, Meow, Bloodcloak, Yunji, and the others were all members of this organization. The purpose of this black cloth was to allow members of the Blade Edge Pledge to communicate with each other. Gu Qingshan spread the black cloth and called out, Bali, can you hear me? A lot of noises came from the black cloth. He waited for a while, but there was no response from anyone. Gu Shan had no choice but to call out again. Meow, are you there? Please talk to me. The noises from the black cloth became even louder. But still, no one responded. Lin shook her head and replied, This thing of yours is quite decent, but your companions are probably too far away from here, so they can't receive it. Gu Shan didn't give up and placed both hands on the black cloth, loudly asking, Meow, I know you're the most powerful spatial warlock. You can definitely hear me, can't you? 1 minute. 2 minutes. Time slowly passed. There was still no response from the black cloth. Gu Shan sighed in disappointment. At this point, a female voice suddenly came from the black cloth. I'm Meow. Gu Shan? Is it you? Chapter 989. The Fire Mountain World. Everyone was dead. A figure that blotted out the sun descended from above, turning into a man with 2 horns on his head. Colorful lights and shadows surrounded him and escaped from his body, manifesting into countless professionals who were wailing in pain and flying away in all directions. There's so many souls that know how to escape, try to escape in front of me. How arrogant, how self-righteous. The abyssal magic dragon's eyes displayed a frigid glint. He opened his mouth and inhaled, sucking all the light in the world into his stomach. The world returned to darkness. Boom! A volcano began to erupt, revealing the true nature of this world. Magic Dragon silently stood still. 12 streaks of light descended from above, kneeling on one knee in front of the abyssal magic dragon. The leading divinity reported, Master, did you summon us? Magic Dragon didn't answer. He closed his eyes and appeared satisfied. The 12 divinities didn't dare to move. It wasn't until a long while later that Magic Dragon muttered, 1,967,324 souls. What a marvelous feast. Suddenly, his voice became furious. His roar reached all the way to the sky. Even the earth itself was trembling. Gu Shan, why aren't you here? At another location, the seaside world, a hotel. Hearing Meow's voice, Gu Shan immediately replied, It's me, Meow, it's Gu Shan. He heard Meow talking to someone else from the other side, faintly hearing the words Gu Shan. A few moments later, Meow's voice came again. Thank the heavens, it really is you. Are you all right? Gu Shan replied, I'm fine. What about the rest of you? Meow replied, A year ago, your world had finished fusing and stopped shaking. At that time, we reconnected to the outside world, only to find that the strife zones had disappeared. Gu Shan sighed and replied, That's right. That was the work of the divine race. How are you now? It's not good. Many of them are injured. We've brought them into your world and hidden them. The outside world is becoming more and more chaotic, so we can only hide here for now. Meow said, What happened? Gu Shan became alert. We found out that the monster that destroyed the Spire and the 900 million World Layers Alliance actually came from the Eternal Abyss, called the Soul Shrieker. What happened to it? It is becoming more and more powerful. The fallen zones that the Demon King Order occupied were almost completely destroyed by it. Did it destroy Order? No. The Order is fighting against it while controlling the demonized to plunder the population. At this point, Meow came back to her senses. Let's not talk about this for now. Where are you now? I'll go get you. Can you come here? Gu Shan answered hesitantly. This place of mine is very secluded, around the edge of the strife zones, close to the Eternal Abyss. Why are you so far away? Meow exclaimed in shock. Something happened, so I'm going to stay here, Gu Shan replied. I'm afraid I won't be able to get through. We're separated by the entire Fallen Zones, as well as the entire Strife Zones, Meow replied. Is there no other way? Gu Shan didn't give up and asked again. The Strife Zones are still invisible. I've lost all the war points in that area, and you're on the other side of the Strife Zones, so I can't get through, Meow patiently explained. She then recalled something and hurriedly asked, Right? Do you still have the club's void string? You can use it to teleport back to the club. That way I'll be able to get you from the club. That I've already used it, Gu Shan sighed. Before she went to the age of old. Gu Qingshan once used a void string to help her escape from Xie Dao Ling's questioning murder. At the moment, even the last option isn't going to work, so I won't be able to meet up with Bali and Miao for now. Gu Qingshan said, "Listen, Miao, what I'm about to say is very important. You have to listen very carefully, got it?" Gu Qingshan told her about the magic dragon, as well as the possible changes to the eternal abyss. A parallel world that's fighting against the apocalypse. Miao blankly muttered. "That's right. You need to prepare yourself. It's best if you hide first," Gu Qingshan said. Whether it was the soul shrieker or the abyss that was sweeping towards them, neither of them were things that Miao's group could deal with. Of course, Gu Qingshan couldn't deal with them either. Although he couldn't even activate the coin of the earth right now, and could only hide it inside his body, he was still the master of the Saint Pillar, and he would one day grow stronger. Miao replied, "We're hiding in a scattered world, so we'll be fine for now. But you need to be careful." Gu Qingshan went silent briefly, then asked, "If I pass through the strife zones and reach the fallen zones, can you find my location?" "Of course I can." Miao confirmed it. After chatting for a bit longer, the two of them temporarily disconnected. While Gu Qingshan and Miao were talking, Lin had remained silent and finally spoke up. "Seems like your friends won't be able to make it." "That's right," Gu Qingshan sighed. "That's troublesome." Something in his pocket suddenly vibrated. Gu Qingshan took it out to see that it was the Hitman badge. He pressed a button on it. The girl's sobbing voice came. "Yi Feili? Is it you?" "Ah, it's me, what's the matter?" Gu Qingshan was surprised. "Everyone's dead, what?" Sob, sob, sob. The Fire Mountain world suddenly collapsed. No one managed to escape. While sobbing, the girl explained the situation in detail. It was now that Gu Qingshan found out that it wasn't just the people of the Hitman Guild. All the other organizations, and even the 7 holy churches who went to the Fire Mountain world disappeared along with the world's destruction. The girl continued, "Yi Feili, as soon as our guild's HQ found out about the situation, we've already arranged for people to come here as soon as possible. But before our experts arrive, a lot of the guild's secret information and wealth stored in this world needs to be guarded. So HQ has entrusted you to be the guardian." "Me? I'm only an intermediate level hitman. In the several thousand world around here, most of the experts from other organizations are already dead. Although you're only an intermediate level hitman right now, you're definitely the strongest of them all." The girl's tone became more serious. "This is a special emergency mission. You must come." "All right, wait a bit. I'll be right there," Gu Qingshan replied. After ending the call, Gu Qingshan turned to Lin. "I knew it was a trap, but I didn't think it would eat everyone. That's a bit too much." Gu Qingshan scowled. Lin crossed her arms and said indifferently, "What's wrong with that? You should be glad that it wasn't the Soul Shrieker or my abyssal form. What would happen if it was you?" Gu Qingshan asked. Lin replied, "If the Soul Shrieker hadn't gone insane, it would have wiped out every world around it. As for me, my abyssal form would be able to directly sense your thoughts, so I wouldn't need to kill any unnecessary people to find the real you." Gu Qingshan felt a chill and asked, "How are you recovering now?" Lin calmly replied, "My body is constantly recovering, and my martial arts skills are also slowly returning to normal. However, without the Ring of Vow, I can't use my abyssal form, so all my abilities outside of martial arts have temporarily been lost." As Gu Qingshan was about to say something, he felt a vibration coming from his pocket again. He took out the Hitman badge again. The girl's panicked voice came from inside. "Yi Feili, hurry and come to the Hitman Guild. I have a special escape device here. We need to leave this world right away." Gu Qingshan felt tense and hurriedly asked, "What happened?" "The Fire Mountain world has been destroyed, and the other worlds around it are also being destroyed. It'll probably reach us very soon," the girl replied. "All right, I'll be right there," Gu Qingshan replied. He turned off the badge. Lin stood up from her chair and smiled. "It's probably mad that it couldn't catch you." Gu Qingshan was annoyed. "It's really annoying to be chased around by it all the time. Of course, the abyssal magic dragon has the entire strife zones under its control. If it wants to find us, it would have to use countless resources and manpower to do so. We can only run away," Lin replied. "The abyssal apocalypse is about to erupt, yet it's still causing trouble at a time like this. Not only is it hindering my cultivation, it's also affecting your recovery." Gu Shan said impatiently. How regretful. We can't change this, Lin agreed. Gu Shan went silent. We can't go on like this, he muttered. Do you have any ideas? Or rather, is there a place where we can completely avoid its pursuit? Lin asked, standing in front of her. Gu Shan's gaze slowly turned sharp. What a mess, and it's still relentlessly chasing us. Seems like we need to talk to it, talk to it. Lin wondered if she had heard it wrong. That's right, we have a lot of things to do, so it's time to teach it a lesson and make it behave, Gu Shan casually said. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.